Hey. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sitting here live on the air. I was in a text message with BMAT and Stoltzy, my bad. Working on the Tanner Burns situation. The not super popular defensive, I guess you call him special teams, I should say, coach from last season is going to be promoted to an on-the-field role, presumably working with the nickels or cornerbacks, is the latest intel that we've got right there, and that is interesting. So he will not be working on edges, which is a position that Auburn still needs to fill. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I had more time, and you start group texting, and you lose track of time. Anyway, my name is Shay Tate. You know that because it says right there, and you also know that if it's blonde hair, if it's bleached blonde hair, it's probably me. Word, it is great to have you guys here. I hope you had a chance to watch our video from the other day where we previewed this game, Auburn's conference opener against the hated Missouri Tigers, a team that is good. But you know that this Auburn team is outstanding, so we'll see how Auburn handles it for sure. We've got some legends in here already. Solo Tigre, Matthew R., T-Tiger, Daniel D., who's been with us a bunch here lately, and, of course, Feel Like a Stranger, who's just an amazing person, doing amazing work, who has a super chat right here. Also, Brian P., I'm going to get to here in a second. Feel Like a Stranger says, LFG. Oh, let me get this. Hold on. Super chat. Says LFG, Ward Up Eagle, Ward Up Drainers, Swoogans, and Tates, my man. Hoops on the Hardwood. Get that little play onto Hardwood. Miles and CBM about to eat. Indeed. I know I just mentioned this only because Flash, a lot of times you always mention my mom. Today's her birthday. Today would have been her 81st birthday. So it's our first birthday without my mom. And I doubt she would have been watching this stream anyway. So the fact that she is in heaven now, maybe she's actually watching my shows now. If so, what's up, Mom? I know you wouldn't have watched them before. But we miss her, of course. And I Feel Like a Stranger was always super supportive when she was sick and kind of headed downhill. So I appreciate you. Oh, you guys were. But I Feel Like a Stranger always went above and beyond on that one. So thank you, bro, for all that time. Great memories of my mom. War Eagle 0008, who we absolutely adore, says, JGT, thanks for the show as always. Let's get this dub. I am on board with that concept. Absolutely. The Auburn Tigers, number one in our hearts for sure. Number two in the AP poll, number one in the Ken Palm, and they, you know, as I know, Final Four bust for this team. Where I'm expecting them to go, I think we talked about this in the last show. We kind of worked through it play by play, game by game. 14-4 is about what I'm thinking, and it's got to start, you know, with this home date against the hated Missouri Tigers. Let me see. Okay, so Stoltzy was just saying Tanner Burns has been added as a defensive assistant and will also remain a special teams coordinator. I can make an argument on this. We'll get to this in just a second. He said whether he works with nickels or safeties is yet to be determined. Enjoy basketball. Okay, very good. Thank you, Stoltzy. So special teams last year were kind of ass, particularly in the kicking front, although Alex McPherson, who was an absolute stud, is still working through some medical issues that really messed things up. And you put a true freshman out there, he didn't do very well. You put a walk-in out there, he did not very well. And I don't know. I guess Hugh looks at it and says, hey, if we'd had Alex, everything would have been fine, and I don't think we should hold Tanner accountable for that. So I'm not saying that's the right idea. I'm not saying that's what I would have done. I'm just saying that's what he's thinking. Yeah. So that's the deal. Also got Brian P. with us, as I mentioned earlier. Melee is here. Sam H. Unbelievable. The different D. Lots of Daniels. I just call this guy legend. Ravin is in the house. Ravin. Do we have a special sound for Ravin? We don't? Guys, do we? Not yet. Okay, great. So there you go, Ravin. Glad we didn't have that special sound for you. It happens sometimes, you know. Let's see. Sam H. says Florida is the best of those three. And War Eagle 0008 correctly surmises that Mississippi State is for real. We were talking about that maybe 3 or 4 shows ago. And I think you were the one talking about it, War Eagle. That this league has gotten really good. South Carolina is probably the worst team in the league. They're getting crushed right now on the road, but the middle of this league is good now. And then the top, of course, you've got Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, are all really good. Yeah, I'm not sure am I missing somebody in the very top tier? A lot of good teams, though. Solo Tigre says, back to the Tanner Burns situation. How about holding him accountable for penalties on every freaking return? No excuse for him keeping the ST job. I mean, I probably would have. I would have made a change, but that's the way it goes. Final is 85-50 for the Mississippi State Bulldogs over the South Carolina Gamecocks. Quickly, I was going to put this. Those of you who watched the video that I did yesterday previewing this game, you've seen the Auburn keys already. But for those of you who didn't, and who may have been working on some other stuff in your own life on a Friday night, little drinky poo. We've also got Bridget W. in the house. War Eagle, the whole fam here is watching. We love Bridget W. I'll be seeing her and the rest of the W clan a little bit later in the day. Looking forward to that. Going to be fun. Auburn keys defend without fouling. I talked about this in the video over and over and over again. Missouri lives at the free throw line. They love to take side screens, roll toward the middle, and then create chaos there approaching the free throw line, whether they're going to drive and finish, just draw a foul, pull up, whatever. And so Auburn's going to try to ice those screens on the wings and try to force them wider, and that's going to try to gunk up their entire attack. We'll see how that goes. So number 2 is essentially the same concept there, that you want to limit that central penetration, which is so critical to the way Missouri does business. They have 2 3-point shooters. Their names are not in front of me anymore. No, they are. Guess what? They are. Small forward Marquise Warwick and Caleb Grill, who's coming back from a neck injury. Those are really the only 2 guys on the team that can actually shoot threes. So you got to keep an eye on them. Assume nothing in the pass game. Missouri's kind of guardy. They got guard. It's kind of a guard-ish type team, and they're very quick defensively. They keep their eyes up. They're well schooled, and if you take lazy passes from the point or the wings, you know what I mean. Like, players just kind of assume certain passes are going to be there. If you assume anything against Missouri, it's going to get deflected. Deflections to run and gun. I'm talking about Auburn's defense. Get your hands on balls. It's something that Auburn's really good at. Use that defense to press tempo and get down there and attack with it. That is a major weapon for Auburn. And then the postest with the mostest. We can talk about all this other stuff, but at the bottom line, at the end of the day, Janai Broom's going to be the best player on the court today, and Auburn's got a huge advantage in the post because I don't think Missouri is built to defend good post players. So I think Janai's going to be good. I think Dylan can be good. I think Chaney can be good. And maybe if Turtle gets, a couple shifts, he might even be able to contribute a little something in there too. So I think Auburn's got a big advantage there. And that's something we're going to keep an eye on for show. Also looking at some of the scores from the SEC earlier today. We just finished watching the Mississippi State South Carolina game. Trying to see getting some chats here. We know Mississippi State crushed South Carolina. Also, Arkansas and Tennessee. Had my friend Keith, who's an Arkansas fan, was like, "Hey man, would you got a shot today?" I was like, "Nah, not really." And that got actually a little bit more out of hand than I thought it would be. Florida, Kentucky, which was that game. If you guys watched it, Kentucky was ahead, and then Florida would kind of catch up, and then Kentucky would push ahead. It was one of those kind of deals. At the end of the day, Kentucky was up 5-10 most of that game. And so 106-100 is on par with what I would have expected, although that's more points than I would have expected. 2 very good teams there. I'm surprised that Mark Pope has been able to take – it's not even really fair to say he's taken what Cal had because he only has 1 player left, I think, from what Cal put on the floor last year. But I'm surprised at how quickly Mark Pope has been able to get Kentucky up to speed. We will find out as we move on how ready they are for the top of the league, but they've got some wins now. Auburn's got the best collection of wins in the league right now, but Kentucky's probably second. They've done some work this year for sure. And then Georgia, Ole Miss, 2 teams that we probably aren't pulling for anybody watching this stream, but Ole Miss with a comfortable win over the Georgia Bulldogs, who were off to their best start in a really long time at 12-1, but I still think they're pretty good. You go to Ole Miss, and Chris Beard and Wes are building a good program over there. It's a good program. Kermit made it fairly good. And then I think they're going to continue to push forward on that. Although I will say, if we have any of our Ole Miss friends here, I do think Chris Beard's going to bounce. I mean, when he gets an opportunity to bounce, right? I mean, Ole Miss is not a destination basketball job. Of course, I would have said that 15 years ago about Auburn. And it's looking a whole hell of a lot better. Looks like they're going to be going live to Neville here shortly, right around the time that our man Cleveland Brown jumps in with a super chat. My man says, Ward Amigo and Happy New Year, Drainers. Stay hydrated, Commodore, and let's beat Missouri. I've got my Yes We Cran, Owala, Color Drop, Maggie W, if you're watching, eat your heart out. I'm just kidding. Yours is really nice, too. I will stay hydrated. Also, I don't know if Taxman's here. I haven't seen him. But I did bring a special bourbon to drink. Some bomb burgers that I snatched at the allocation maybe 2 weeks ago. We've had a little slug of that, but I think I was lit when I drank it, so I didn't really remember it. So we're going to sip on some of this bomb burgers as the game goes on. But as I mentioned on the bunker earlier, I haven't been drinking as much lately. It isn't really a conscious thing, but anyway. Let's see. JG, can PT get drafted? I guess that means Peyton Thorne. Like, hell no. Come on, guys. Let's get real. Brian P. says, JG, what's the quick Cliff Notes version of what made you want to get into covering sports for a living? Great question. What made you eventually land on Auburn for such a long career? You are the GOAT at what you do. That is really nice of you to say, bro. Thank you for being here and hanging out. Golly, my story, I can do it pretty short. I thought I was going to take over my granddad's contracting business, concrete contracting. I actually worked during the summers in college doing concrete. And that was always like a thing that Jay was going to take over the company. But when it came time for me to take over the company, he didn't really want to give it up. And I just didn't know that that's what I wanted to do with my life. And my wife, I was in a very dark period, honestly, very, very dark, and wasn't feeling good about my life and my situation. And my wife goes, what do you really want to do? And I was like, I don't know. She goes, well, what do you really enjoy? I said, well, I like reading the newspaper. I love Chuck Culpepper. And she goes, well, why don't you be like Chuck Culpepper? And I go, well, okay. And so I went to Kentucky, working on a graduate degree in psychology, technically, but I was really there to work on the student newspaper called the Kentucky Colonel. Started covering volleyball, and it just grew from there. Got a job down here covering Alabama State in 1998 for the newspaper. And then I jumped over here. I started covering Auburn in the fall of 98. I got maybe 3 months into that job. I got kicked off campus at ASU for some dumb shit, and then started covering Auburn and just did it for a long time. And then I left the Advertiser in 2012 to come here. And boy, it's changed a lot, man. You used to kind of just hide behind a computer and write stuff, you know. And now I've got to be out here all the time. All of us do, really. Maybe not Philip Marshall as much, but, you know, Hoke and Jay Lee and Cristiano and all, you know, all the mainstream writers. You know, we got to do podcasts and videos and all that kind of stuff. So it's a much different world. This is not going to end well for Missouri if he's going to try to do that against Dylan. I'm just telling you right now. Now, what we're going to look for tonight is we're going to look for them. We're going to look for how Auburn handles these screens in the corners, not in the corner, but in the wings. And what you want to see is you want to see Auburn ice them, which is when you double team that screen and force them wider rather than letting them come toward the middle of the court. It's called icing a screen. It's something that Auburn does a lot of anyway, but in a game like this, against an opponent like this, it's going to be doubly important. That's an example right there, that pass from from Denver down to Janai, where I think that's a pass he kind of assumed was going to be there. It's been there all this time, and then it got deflected. Now Auburn's going to retain possession, but that's the kind of thing you got to be a little more careful with your passing against a team like Missouri, who's very thrifty with their steal approach on defense. Stu Pup jumps in with a super chat. Says, Boogan through an illness today. Let's get this dub. My man, Stu. Hope you feel better, bro. Stu Pup, of course, is super chatted us, I believe, every single show we've ever done. Chad Baker Mazzara's, sorry, I used the wrong name. Chad Bacon Lasagna's first three-pointer didn't even hit iron. So that means his next three are going to go straight in. That's how he works. Hope you feel better, bro. I was sick for a good little while there, and it was just like a cold that wouldn't go away. But I started feeling a lot better about 3 days ago. So I hope you get over it too, G. Decatur wants to know, why in the hell is Tanner Burns working with the defense for football? That is what he does technically for a living. That's what he's supposed to do. My bigger question is, why did he retain? Oh, what a pass from Chad Bacon lasagna. Drop. That's what I'm talking about. That wasn't necessarily a deflection on defense. That was actually a defensive rebound, but Auburn is so good getting out in transition because everybody moves well, everybody spaces well, and 4 of the 5 guys will probably see the ball, see the vision really well for what they're trying to do in the full court. So you love to see it. Stoop Up says, I like the retro-inspired Missouri unis that have the big M on them from the Norm Stewart days. All right. Little high post action here with Janai, who has an option of either driving or looking for a cutter. Dylan will be the cutter here, and Dylan tips it in. Nice little fortuitous tap in. You like to see it. 4-2 is what we're looking at here. Let me keep this updated. All right. If you see Missouri getting toward the free throw line, things are not going well defensively for Auburn. So that's kind of your litmus test on how things are going. Now, see, there was a screen, and 13 was not able to get on top of it because it materialized so quickly. It was a very ambitious dunk attempt right there. Miles Kelly was just a half a step slow on getting up on that ice call, and then he let the guy roll over him, and that's what created that downhill action that Missouri just used to get that free throw. I don't understand why we needed a second view on that. Yeah, that ball got outside to a advantageous matchup for Missouri because Miles didn't cut that ball movement off. It wasn't out of laziness, though. He got hit pretty hard on the screen, but he got clumped up a little bit. So, decent start. Auburn got a bucket in transition off a defensive rebound, and also Dylan got a tap in on a kind of a weird shot from Janai, but whatever. Lineups are normal here. They rely so much on Janai, not just the score, but look at this. I mean, he's like the trigger man here in this offensive set. He hits a nice little floater with his left hand, and then he talks some shit. The funny thing about Janai is that he does that in practice too, even against his own teammates. Not real bad, but he'll hit a shot and he'll just kind of glare at people. He does it against AD. He ends up going against AD a lot as a scout team player. I'm talking about Darren Scott. And when he has a good play like the one he just made, he'll still kind of stare down AD, who's used to it now and doesn't take offense to it, but it's funny. Ravin has a problem with that last foul that Missouri used to get the last free throws. It says Dylan is entitled to his area and the area directly above him. That was not a foul. I did not take a serious look at that particular. There's Matty Crouch right there, my man. There's the legend himself, Carl Harker. Yeah, we got some stuff. And I see why Charlton Young he coaches for Missouri too. When I first got on the Auburn beat in '98, Charlton was a very young assistant for Cliff Ellis here. Really one of the most friendly coaches I've ever covered. Just a really nice person. Okay, Missouri. Nice little jerky action there to get a 3-point shot. They've had a couple open ones so far. Auburn is not super worried about that unless it's those 2 players that hit threes. So I think Auburn is relatively content at this point to let them take threes if it's the guys they want taking threes, if that makes sense. Janai with a splash. You guys know how I feel about Janai taking threes, but you got to let him express himself. I get it. Great work from Dylan here. He's taking on a small forward. The guy just walked 100%. That is great defense from Dylan. That's 2 one-on-ones in this game already. The Missouri's tried to face up Dylan, and he's just, one was a backup and one was a face up, and Dylan just absolutely stonewalled him. That was a great rebound right there by their point guard. See, that's that Nolan Richardson advantage, disadvantage sit. I don't think that's a foul on Chad. Chad's somewhere he shouldn't be, right? He's not putting himself in a good position to make an argument there. But I still don't like the advantage, disadvantage there. I think we're talking about BP chasing history. I think he's 2 wins away from tying Joe Leaves, I think, for most wins by an Auburn coach. He's already passed Cliff Ellis comfortably, but he's getting very close. It might be 1 win or 2 wins. I don't know, something like that, which would be huge. He hasn't even been here that long. That's the crazy thing. Let me get these the hot, fresh stats. Beppo's not with us, at least not yet, but we will still get the hot, fresh stats in his honor. There's no doubt. That's going pretty good. All right, let me kill this SEC scores box, and we will put the official Auburn box score in here and take a gander. See what we like and don't like on here. You know, the first thing I look at is assist to turnover. They have 1 assist to 0 turnovers. Auburn has 2 assists to 0 turnovers. A sure sign of a veteran team right there doing things like that. They're 4 of 7. I'm sorry, Auburn's 4 of 7 from the floor, which they're, of course, fine with. 2 of 5 for the Missouri Tigers. And Auburn's up +2 on rebounding so far. I would have thought that was different because I feel like Missouri's had some clutch rebounds, but I guess both of theirs were big. Nothing else real significant going on here. Points in the paint. Auburn's 6 of its 9 points are in the paint. 0 of Missouri's. I'm not surprised because Missouri, particularly on the attacking end, are not going to be going inside a whole lot unless they're driving. Like, they're not going to just set plays for their 4 and their 5. They don't really have a 5, but, you know. Frank G says we have to stop fouling. That was my number one thing on my things to watch in this. You just got to defend without fouling because if you put them to the line, they want to get to the line. They draw fouls. That's their whole thing. I told Courtney yesterday I thought he started in 15, but he actually started in 14. How about that? KT Harrell. Simeon Bowers in that shot right there. There you go. The 18 team. Horace Spencer. Anthony McLemore. Final 4 team with Bryce and Jared. Walker Kessler. Oh, this is great, man. Look how happy they are. Chad Pruitt and Ian. So happy. And then winning the tournament last year. A lot of accomplishments, man, with this staff, which has largely been together for a long time, right? I mean, Coach Stevens been there a while. Burgo's been there the whole time. Pruitt's been there the whole time. Ira hasn't been there the whole time, but he's been there probably 6 or 7 years now. Corey's probably, I think, 2nd year for Corey, but whatever. He's a stud. I like him, too. From Twiggs County, Georgia. A rare player who was drafted in 2 professional leagues. He was drafted, of course, in the NBA as a point guard out of Oklahoma State, but he also was drafted as a defensive back by the Chiefs. Tells you what kind of an athlete he was. Now, that is the little action that Field of 68 was highlighting there. It's that high screen with a backside roll. It's actually an offset roll that's usually open for a lob or a zip pass. It's very difficult to defend because it's putting that post defender in a Gus Malzahn situation where you got to make a decision, and we take advantage of it. Hayden H. jumps in. My man says, survive and advance starts today. War Damn Eagle, JGT. We appreciate that, Hayden. Your super chat. Hayden's been I remember when Hayden was such a young guy jumping in with us, maybe COVID or before. And now he's all grown up, and we still love him. Appreciate you, bro. War Eagle 0008 says, Field of 68 is awesome. I couldn't agree more. I love watching their streams. They're like After Dark or whatever. It's just phenomenal. And as you guys know, if left to my own devices, I watch more basketball than I do football. And I just don't care about football unless it's Auburn or it's like a really good game. You know what I mean? Like 2 heavyweights. But these playoffs have been kind of a dud, haven't they? I don't know. I mean, aside from the that Texas game the other day, there haven't been a lot of good ones. I was really hoping SMU would be able to do something at Penn State, and that was That was a pipe dream, wasn't it? Desperado in the house. Desperado, you're in our chat today. Glad to see you, bro. Thanks for jumping in. Small victories here. What's up, bro? There he is. Frank, thank you for correcting me, or actually just getting me straight. And he says only one win away from tying Joe Leaves, so that's 2 wins away from taking over. Joe Leaves, of course, an absolute stud. I never met him, but he got a lot done as a basketball coach and as an AD also. I got to get this updated. Auburn now has 11 points on the board. It's been a little grindy. I thought this would be a little grindy. Again, Missouri is an inarticulate offensive system. They're not bad, but they are just going to bring the fight to you all the time because that's just the way they do things. It's like they've got 3 or 4 Chris Densons out there that just want to agitate and drive at you. And they go another drive in transition, and they get the flush. If you give them space, man, they're going to do some damage. Auburn's still trying to get its feet set here defensively, so to speak. I mean that metaphorically. Yeah, I don't that screen defense there by Missouri was as physical as you can get without getting a foul call. They didn't call one. Number 33 with a nice legal obstruction on Janai for the dunk in transition there. That's little subtle things you can do to help yourself. How about it? That was a nice little shot there. Was that Miles Kelly? Just a little, like a reverse floater, kind of rolled underneath and then turned around and floated it up and cash money. I like Miles Kelly. I don't think he's assertive enough. If you want to know my opinion. Oh. Ran right into Dennis Gates. He is not the guy who sang 2 phones, by the way. That is Kevin Gates. And as far as I know, they're not related. I got 2 phones. One for the plug and one for the load. I got clientele. I just got it off the scale. All right, Missouri doing everything it can to drive right here, but Auburn created a wall, but they kicked the ball out and it drove again. I'm telling you, they drive like mad, guys. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to stay locked in against a team like Missouri because they're just going to keep coming downhill at you. And you've got to really stay on your P's and Q's to make sure that you're getting those screens handled correctly to keep that ball wide. They're really harassing people with their screen defense. But guess what? Chad Bacon Lasagna says, no, sir. He does things that geometry would suggest would be impossible, honestly. I don't know how he does a lot of the things that he does. And he does a lot of this shit in practice, too. He just has this rare ability to hit difficult shots. I don't know. That's actually not a difficult shot, but he knew there was contact coming, and he just finished his stroke through it, took the contact, hit the 3, and now he's going to go to the line for a foul. Yeah, Solo Tigre, I did not give enough credit there. And also War Eagle 0008. The pass from Janai, to see it without seeing it, to know it's there, and to zip it right on the money like that under a double team high pressure situation is very difficult to do. I'd say maybe 5% of college power forward or centers could do that, but he's part of that 5%, man. Yeah, reach in your bag there. Get my wallet. Which one's yours? It's the one that says bad my phone. There they go driving again. Chaney did his part. He absorbed the drive, maintained position, and was going to swat that ball into oblivion, although there was no shot offered. Foul called on Chaney nonetheless, as Missouri initiated contact on that and got the foul call. guess they're going to call that a kickball and reset the shotty. This is when my man Matt Crouch is under pressure here. He's going to be the instant replay man. Okay, so they're looking to see if he went at Chaney in the face here. Not on purpose, but... Interesting. That is a hell or high water drive right there. I mean, I respect it. That's like I'm just going shoulder in, man. Whatever happens, happens. You know what I'm saying? It's like after you've had that third shot of Jägermeister at the college party, you're like, I'm gonna go ask this girl out, and she may call me a total goon, but I don't care. I'm going in. All right, I'm gonna have my first sip of the day. Some Bombergers. Pick this up at the allocation. 108 proof. I'm trying to see if anything else is fun about it. This is an offshoot of Michter's, as I recall. They're friends with Michter's anyway. Brown water. Let's see. I feel like a stranger believes that second elbow was suspect. It was like a high elbow Euro step, wasn't it? And the first one was not bad, but the second one he kind of came across the face, and that kind of looked dangerous to me. Although I did not think he was leading with elbows. I honestly think he was trying to hold them back so he didn't hit him in the face. CJ, my man, what's up, brother? Says F1 in his opinion, flagrant one. We shall see. Stoop Up agrees. And Schaefer Kia says, come on, get you a sippy poo, Jay. Thank you for encouraging me to drink my cancer water. Jerk. I'm just kidding. All right, time for some new hot, fresh stats. Brought to you by Krispy Kreme. I'm just kidding. I wish I had a partnership with them, but I don't. I need more partnerships. We need more partnerships. We should have a sponsor for this show. We definitely should. Come on, guys. Is this quality, as professional as this is? I mean, how many publishers are going to get on the air and drink bourbon and talk sports and get drunk and do stupid shit, right? Now, granted, I don't do that during basketball season. You guys know. I'm a responsible drinker when basketball's on. However, I have been known in the past during a football show, which, of course, goes 6 hours, to drink a little bit more than I should. All right, assist-to-turnover ratio for Missouri 3-1, which is good. 4-1 for Auburn. That's pretty good on both sides. Auburn is still +3 on rebounding, which you like to see. And Janai has 9 points already. Game just started. We're 2 segments in. Janai's almost to double digits. I love it. That's what I was thinking would happen. 11 of their 17 points are from Dylan and Janai, so I was correct in thinking that the post is going to be the postest with the mostest. Nothing else is really sticking out to me so far. We're just getting started here. Let's see. Common fouls is what they called it. Schaefer Kia says he is drinking the cancer water from Miller. How dare you cheat on bourbon that way? Let's see. Wargle says, sorry to ask twice, but I would love your opinion on A.D. Scott and if you think he can be a role guy. Seems like a good kid. He is a good kid. He's a very patient kid. He works hard in practice. The issue with A.D. is that he makes Horace Spencer look like a finished product on the offensive end. I mean, he has no idea. Like, he just doesn't have any of that. That's the only Missouri guy who shoots the three well, and he completely airballed a shot that he probably shouldn't have shot anyway. It was well defended. I don't really know what to tell you about AD. I think they just kind of added him late that session or that cycle, and he's, like you mentioned, a good kid. He works his ass off in practice. He works scout team. He's got a long body. He can give those guys some hell, but if you watch him, I mean, he's just not, hey, man, I mean, he works hard. Oh, Denver. So let me get these scores correct. I was leaving Missouri 1 point short, and now Auburn 3 points short, so we'll get that rectified immediately. I mentioned on the video yesterday previewing this game that Denver was on a absolute heater, and we've got an offensive foul right here, buddy. Get your mullet off that floor, homie. He does not have a mullet. I don't know why I thought he did. It's just an odd haircut, but it's not actually a mullet. And I rag on him for having a mullet that he doesn't have. And I used to wear a mullet at his age, so I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm a bad person. I'm so glad you guys are picking up on the splash. There he is. Russell says, you mentioned Corey Williams. He grew up in Macon, Georgia. We inducted him in the Macon Sports Hall of Fame in 2024 back in May. Had a he sure did. Tremendous high school career. Twigs. Not to mention what he did afterward, playing for the Magic. I'm sorry, the Bulls too, right? And, he definitely played for the Bulls. We'll just leave that. We'll leave that there. Won a championship with the Bulls. But was drafted in the NFL as a defensive back too. So, what a tremendous athlete he was. And he's a very friendly, humble, approachable human being too, which I appreciate. He is not at all problematic or off-putting. Russell, thank you for that, bro. That was interesting. I somehow missed that. I knew Ira got inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame recently up in Philadelphia, but I did not know about Corey Williams, or I had forgotten, or whatever. And he always will let anybody know that he is from Georgia. He is not a Georgia fan. He played at Oklahoma State, but he's very proud of where he came from, as he should be. D Lucky notes that Tahad is getting a little risky. So look how wide open they leave him on the 3-point line. Not Tahad, but number 33. All right, now that was the Anthony McLemore slide away from that screen. That's something that they're going to have to watch there because that was wide open, and Missouri didn't pay attention to it. But if they run that machination again once or twice, they're going to have a free line to the bucket on that one. That's just a pick and roll roller is what that would be. Look at Chaney. Hit that, Big Daddy. Splash. I don't disagree with Missouri's decision to leave Chaney open there, but he works hard on his shot, man. Well, that was a hell of a crossover right in front of Dylan, man. That's great work right there by Chaney to not foul. Well, on the initial challenge. I agree. BP said that's not a foul, and I have to agree. The first challenge was adjudicated to be legal, which I thought it was. Second challenge to me was then adjudicated to be a foul, and I thought it was the same as the first one. So I don't agree with that one. And you guys know I don't give the officials a lot of hell, so I just thought that was lame. I thought he was well positioned. He wasn't grabbing. He wasn't reaching. He was just playing ball. Wow. That was a very poor free throw from number 33. I did mention earlier that they don't have a lot of power in the post. This young man, he looks pretty powerful, but he don't really. Oh, no. That's a lane violation, on Denver. So he's going to get another opportunity to shoot here. Decatur Tiger says Mizzou is just flopping. I was told soccer was the only sport where everybody flops and everybody hates soccer because they flop. So I'm not even gonna acknowledge that anyone else flops. Wow, that was an aggressive help on that. Now, see, that's a makeup call. I don't think that's a foul either on number 33 for Missouri. On that help, he attacked that screen and really helped to an exaggerated degree. I don't think this is a foul, guys. I don't, but it's a makeup for the call on Chaney. Man, he's giving him a dirty look, too. How about that? Better watch out. You're going to get a technical, young man. You don't want that. Coach Gates going to whoop your ass, make you run stairs with Coach Drinkwitz at 5 a.m. inside Faro Field. You don't want to do that. Oh, nice little hesitation. Sweet hesitation move, but then Chaney lobbed it for nobody, and Jakai was watching on going, what is he doing? Woigel0008, who is a master of biokinetics, says number 33 is a massive human being. He is indeed. Okay, so at least I understand now where the lob was going. It was going to Dylan. It just wasn't where Dylan could get it. And there's the young man I falsely accused of having a mullet earlier. I'm sorry. I regret that. We regret the error. The advertiser regrets the error. All right, out of bounds, under the basket. This is an Auburn specialty, a Bruce Pearl specialty, a Burgo specialty. Chaney trying so hard to get that foul call. Didn't get it. Could have probably been a tie-up, but off the shin. Wait, that's not a shot. So they called something down there, ball out of bounds. Sweet. A fortuitous. Turn of events for the Auburn Tigers there. Ravin says lob timing looks off. Yeah. It's a very physical. Missouri's been pretty physical on defense. Dark Side in the house. JG Tay, what's up, Dark Side? Glad to have you here, bro. Watching this Auburn, Missouri tangle. Watching these Tigers tangle. It's a good effort play by non-mullet. His name is Caleb Grill. And he's a damn good three-point shooter. I've got him as 23 of 45 for 51.1% this season. He's missed 5 of the last 6 games or 6 of the last 7, I don't remember which, with a neck injury. Came back in the last game and had some limited minutes. My friend Gabe DeArmond, who now works for a rival network, was just saying that the kid is a shooter, but I didn't think he would get a full workload tonight because he's just coming back from that injury. But it looks like they're working him a lot. Very patient ball work by the Tigers up high, and guess what? It ends with a Ja'Kai. Splash. Very, very patient. It's a sign of a veteran team, even though Kai's not old. Oh, my goodness. Now, was that a moving foul? It was definitely a solid-ass foul. Who got hit on that? Is that Simo? Holy shit! Is that Marshall from Kell High School? Is that the kid that was committed to Auburn? I didn't know he ended up at Missouri. It looks like him, and his name's Marshall, and he's about the right size. Yeah, that's him for sure. Peyton Marshall. There you go. I love that kid. That was the first interview that he had ever done. He told me that. He said, I've never been interviewed before. I said, I'll go easy on you, bro. It's maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think ultimately they felt like he wasn't going to have enough agility, I guess, to be a 5 in the BP system. That he would be like just too heavy. You know, because right as he was coming onto the scene as a recruit. When he was coming onto the scene as a recruit, he had just dropped from like 330 pounds to like, whatever he is now. I mean, 270 or something, 280. And there was just a concern that he was just going to be kind of a fat body. I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just being real about it, If you're going to play 5 for BP, you've got to be like a Horace Janai's kind of a special case because he's such a polished and skilled player. He's obviously awesome, but a lot of times he likes to have I think Wayne Chisholm is the perfect BP center, 6'11", looks like a spider, jumps high, gets out in transition. And that's not what Peyton Marshall is. Yeah, Solo Tigre says, damn, that was smooth. Give me your high, make it real, or else forget about it. You're so smooth. D-Lucky, I guess D-Lucky's going to hang with us the whole game, man. We are lucky today. As in D-Lucky. Let's see. Patrick wants to know, what does the call me hand sign mean? I did not see it. I'll have to check that out. Let me go back and see if I can find it. See if I can find it. Look at Turtles, the first one out to congratulate him. What a great teammate. I don't see the sign, bro. Sorry, I don't see it. I will keep an eye out for it, bro. And if I do see it, I'll try to figure it out. Let's see. Stoop Up says Mizzou has had the oddest body teams the last 2 years. Interesting, yeah. I think Dennis Gates, shows up, taking over for Kim Anderson, and things weren't going well at Missouri from a staffing perspective. I think it's the way BP was in the very beginning at Auburn, where you're just taking whatever you can get. And maybe like a Simeon, maybe didn't quite have the body you're looking for, but you do what you got to do. My man, Schaefer Kidd says, Eazy-E had a song about splashing. I don't remember that one right off, but I think I know what you mean if you're just talking about in relative terms. Like, give me that nut. You talking about that one? Let's see. War Eagle does, Broom does a hang loose, call me looking sign, almost like a Antoine Griezmann. Hotline bling. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him. Janai's a man of very few words. So if I ask him, I'll get a very direct answer. Guys, listen, man. In college, I was relatively crazy. I had a lot of fun. I was president of a fraternity, of a hell-raising fraternity. I would not have worn a coconut bra to a basketball game. That takes a lack of self-awareness beyond what even I'm capable of. And I'm telling you, I can be very not self-aware. That's a Reggie Sharp 3 right there from the logo. And Kelly was doing the same thing too, wasn't it? Oh, Schaefer Kids says, find them and forget them. No, I think it's find them, F them, and flee, right? Or you can forget them would also work. I'm not advocating that approach in real life. We're just talking about a rap lyric, that's all. Damon says, don't give Bowers crap. That dude played some point at that size. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ragging on Simeon. But I'm taking, if we're talking about players that have weird bodies, he would count. First of all, he was shot multiple times and overcame that and was very willing to show anybody and everybody that he'd been shot, which, it's cool. Man, that's how you live in Racine, you know what I'm saying? But he was a cool dude. And like you said, he kind of had the wrong body for his skill set, right? He was a tremendous passer and ball handler for his size. Don Proper Dickin coming in from south of Holland says, Io. What up, Don? That's what we say in Maastricht when things are going well. Io. In Dutch, it means good fortune. Thanks for the super chat, Don. We're glad to see you, bro. Oh, my goodness. That was a very ambitious drive by number 25, but that's what Missouri's about. They're ambitious drivers. If nothing else. Connor says Missouri is trying to out-physical Auburn. We are big boying them. I would say, yeah, Auburn's doing nice. Auburn is killing them right now because Auburn's hitting the threes. But the good news is that I don't think of Auburn as like a really rough team, but they are rising to the challenge here, Connor. That's a good observation, honestly. Good stuff. It's kind of encouraging in a way because, man, when you get into March Madness, you're going to tangle with some boys that don't mind brawling, and it's good to see Auburn kind of adjusting to that. That's pretty good. Let's see. Wargle0008 reminds us that Simeon's Twitter handle was 67 Gorilla. Frank, remember when Bowers sold his tickets to the SEC tournament semifinals game? No, we don't remember that. No, that never happened. Off the heel of the rim. What was that? What was number one acting like he just gotten shot? Stop falling down. Let's see if the Hot can get back in the rhythm a little bit here. Lost the ball on a switch back there. No big deal. Didn't permanently lose it. I don't like this shot. But I like it when he gets a foul call. It's fine with me. He said fudge. There's no way you're trying to feed me sugar-free fudge, is what he said. It's a rough translation. I've only spent a little bit of time in Missouri, so maybe, something's lost in translation. I don't know. That was my mom's backup school. University of Missouri. She instead chose to go to Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. She chose to go there because she felt like Missouri was too big, is what she told me. I don't know. She was a classically trained librarian. I feel like she would have been better in Missouri for the library sciences. But guess what? I wasn't there to discuss it with her at the time. I was still many years from being born. With that free throw, the Auburn Tigers are now at 30 and hold a 12-point advantage over the Missouri Tigers. Chad Bacon, Lasagna rarely. That's Tahad shooting, Jay. That's why Chad. We don't have to affect Chad's shooting on this. I believe Chad is on a 40 free throw streak heater right now. Another drive from Missouri. I thought that was a walk, but who's counting steps? Not me. Look at Janai on the defense. Let's see what he can do here. They're just going one-on-one. This is not going to work out. There's no way. That's what I talked about in the beginning of the show. Defense without fouling. That was a tremendous individual confrontation, and he managed it well for Janai there. Great job. Uh-oh, Miles Kelly. Oh, he couldn't finish it. That was a nice drive, though. You don't see that a lot from Miles. He's usually looking for that jump shot from out wide. There's a nice little steal. This is where Auburn gets going. Chad Bacon, Lasagna with a nice pass, free throw, full range of the court, and then he hits for Tahad. That is Auburn in a nutshell right there. Steal from Miles Kelly, outlet pass to Chad Bacon, Lasagna. Long cross-court throw from Chad Bacon, Lasagna to Tahad, who pulls it from three and hits it. It happens all so quickly. Another drive from Missouri. I'm telling you, they're addicted to it. Might as well face it. They're addicted to drive. You see the charge, but they won't call. Janai has got the ball. He took it to your house. He's staring you down. Janai, of course, with another 80%er, which he landed. He's hit 2 of these already. Missouri in transition, taking advantage of things, pushing the tempo and getting an easy bucket there that Janai did not approve of. He didn't like that. He thought it was poor defense. He could have used some help to at least slow the ball down. Auburn really feeling it right now. This is one of those surges. Simo in the game with it. There's the lazy pass I'm talking about. I talked about that in the pregame. You got to think about every pass you make against Missouri. And that was a pass that's always there for Simo, just as a dump off. And you can't assume anything passing-wise against Missouri. They just get up in your shooting lanes and they'll steal the ball. And then they'll go down to the other end and airball it. It's fine. It's okay. Yes, Schaefer Kia says J.G. Palmer. Thank you for knowing the Robert Palmer reference. Rest in peace, by the way. Also part of what supergroup, do you know? A little trivia question. Key component of a supergroup from the 80s. I won't say, it'll give you a chance to guess. They had 3 top 40 hits. Named after a recording studio. It's a true story. Tahad down. Looks like it might have landed on a hip or a back. CJ says Missouri can't shoot. LMAO. Let's give them a good laugh on that one. They're pretty good, like 2-point shooters because they drive a lot. But man, 3-point shooting, no, that's not their strength at all. Clark is out there, the trainer, along with Dr. Mike Goodlett, just having a conversation about it. Melee says pressure drop by Robert Palmer is his best in Melee's opinion. Is that similar to the Toots and Maytal's version of pressure drop? I don't know. I'm not familiar directly with Robert Palmer's version of that. Do we have an answer for what supergroup Robert Palmer was associated with in the 80s, named after a famous recording studio? Emerson, Lake, and Palmer is not the answer I was looking for. I think of ELP as being a 70s band. He was part of a group with John Taylor from Duran Duran and the drummer from Chic. Melee says it's a reggae, yeah. Okay, so it is. I got you. That's a good song. The version that I know best is Toots and the Maytals with Eric Clapton singing and playing guitar with them. Alamo Tiger Sir Grad says Genesis. Robert Smith is our winner. Power Station is exactly right. Their hits were Communication, Bang a Gong, and what was the big one? The first one. Some Like It Hot and Some Sweat When the Heat Is On. Led Zeppelin and the Sunshine Band. My man. Matt knows his 80s music. There's no doubt about that. Feel Like a Stranger almost with New Kids on the Block. Got to laugh for that one. And also Chip says UB40, which little piece of trivia, UB40 is named after. Do you know where they got the name UB40? They got the name UB40 because that is the form you fill out in Britain when you're unemployed. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's get you some hot, fresh stats here. As we are, I tend to sometimes on these shows get a little bit away from what we're talking about. Of course, Auburn's killing Missouri right now, so it's not super exciting. I mean, it is to see Auburn play great again, but all right, there we go. Hot, fresh stats. Coming your way right now. Pretty good pull right there, huh? In fact, I'd say it was perfect. Assist to turnovers, 5-6 now for Missouri. Gotten on a little bit of a bad run there. 9 assists to 5 turnovers for Auburn. 5 turnovers is a ton for the Auburn Tigers. We'll see if they get that slowed down. I guarantee that's something that Burgo and BP and Coach Stephen Pearl are going to be talking to the boys about. That's for sure about that. But 9 assists on 12 buckets. Auburn is among national leaders in that category, so there's nothing new there. Auburn did have a little advantage in rebounding, which it is now conceded. 6 offensive rebounds for Missouri is not cool, and second chance points. Auburn still has a slight advantage there. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Feel Like a Stranger makes a reference to Color Me Bad. The only good thing to come out of Missouri was Josie Wales. Also, Nelly is a Missouri guy, I believe, from St. Louis, Missouri. Also, Jenna Fisher. Pam from The Office is from Missouri. She's from Greater St. Louis, went to Truman State University, a little north of there. Some more tomfoolery on the Missouri attacking end leads Chad Bacon Lasagna to get out in transition, and he gets fouled on an attempt. He's probably going to hit these free throws. Rush Limbaugh. Absolutely. Rush Limbaugh is from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And if you guys are into the Throwed Rolls place down in Foley, I can't remember what it's called. That started in Sikeston, Missouri. The Throwed Rolls place. Can you be a little more non-specific, JG? Desperado says, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. We should have included you in famous people. All right, so Chad Bacon Lasagna hits 2 more free throws, and that means that he is now at 43 consecutive. That's pretty good. Auburn Dad for Life. My man, what is up, G? Appreciate you retweeting me on Twitter. I appreciate the support, G. He says some good barbecue in Missouri. Lambert's, thank you, Chip, and CJ. Lambert's Cafe, which I enjoy. Well, I used to enjoy when I was really fat. Now I can't go in there and eat reasonably, so I would probably just avoid it. But you know what I mean. Lambert's is a great place if you just want to munch. You know what I mean? You just go in there to pound food. Pound country food is amazing. All right. That is not allegedly one of the guys who can hit threes for Missouri. But he got it real nice as a trailer in transition, had plenty of time. Let's see. Schaefer Kia says, I live in Foley and have only been there 3 times in my life. I think I've been there twice. And I honestly don't like the Throwed Rolls part of it, but I do like the food. It's pretty good. Their okra was really good. Let's see. Feel like a stranger says Lambert's. My ex from Missouri was floored when she saw the one in Foley. We ought to write a song about your ex from Missouri. Is there any information that you can pass along about that so I can add some context to the song? It is home of the throw rolls, D. Lucky. You're right, bro. And Russell's still hitting the power station, which outstanding. My favorite song is Bang a Gong, though. Although I believe that was a cover of a 10cc song, as I recall. Or maybe it was T-Rex. I don't remember which one. All right. Chennai missed a free throw. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. Stupo says the Mizzou dude guarding Broom dang near threw a punch. T-Rex. Thank you, Melee. Been listening to as I mentioned this, I think, during the football season, but I did complete my full collection of American Top 40 shows from the 80s, hosted by Casey Kasem. So he left American Top 40, I think, in August of 88. So I have all the shows from the beginning of 80 to 88. After that, it was Shadow Stevens, and I don't really care. Because you guys know that Casey Kasem's like my hero. Look at Cheney. Look at Cheney. I'm going to give him a drop on that one. Drop. That was dirty, man. That's a shot that he would not have hit last year. I don't know why I have Missouri at 28. I must have just given them a wrong bucket or something. I don't know. I'm glad to take time points off the board for them, though. There's another drive. And a foul. Janai got up in the air. Yes, Schaefer, we've got that established. Bang a Gong by Power Station was a remake from T-Rex. Outstanding. Hit around July, August, September of 1985 in the States. I believe Tony Thompson was on that record as well. Let's see. Desperado says my score is wrong. Let me see. According to the TV, it's not. According to the score, it is also wrong. So I'm going to go with 26. Yeah. Well, he just hit the free throw, though. Oh, Brandon reminds me of Casey Kasem, the drama when he passed away between his wife, who was like a second wife or whatever, and then his kids from his first wife. It was very nasty, and that is a fair description of how that went down. Yes. Guys, seriously, this did not happen to me, but having gone through the estate process in a fairly straightforward situation with my mom, because I was her only kid alive, get your affairs in order if you're an older folk and you've got some stuff, you got a house, cars, money, whatever, your retirement accounts, whatever. You've got to get that stuff. Oh, and a nice little jump step from Miles Kelly. It's coming on, man. Get your affairs in order, man. Get up with the attorney and get some stuff drawn up. So if something bad happens to you, your wife, your kids, your next of kin, whoever, have very straightforward instructions about what to do and how to do it. Very, very helpful for them. Very, very helpful. Thank you, Desperado. Appreciate you, bro. I'm trying to keep up with it as best I can. Not always perfect minute to minute, though. Desperado. I don't know why I'm singing the Eagles again. I did it again. I did that in the last game, too. I've had a bad day, and I hate the Eagles, man. Let's see. Frank Jesus, I just learned about the drama with Anna Nicole Smith and her 89-year-old billionaire husband. Yeah, that was a good marriage for her, I think. Ultimately, it didn't really benefit her very long because she didn't live really long after that, but she said they were in love. I mean, it happens all the time. You meet a 98-year-old guy and you think, man, he's the one. Some of these fouls are getting a little bit chintzy, I would say. Little touchy. Let's see. John D says, consolidate your financial stuff. Don't leave it all over the place. I don't know what that means. Although I bet that's good advice. I just need you to elaborate on it a little bit. That's what I meant to say. Daniel D says the Eagles are a good band. I would disagree with that. And then Schaefer Kia says Eagles living rent free in your head. You're probably kind of right about that to be true. There's Kai checking in. It's Kai Howard. Missed opportunity for Janai up there. Missed that. He hit the front end, missed the second end for 2 consecutive trips now. Let's see. Schaefer Kia says, who's Vanilla Ice? His name is Connor Grill. And, I think he does favor Vanilla Ice. We might just start calling him that. Although I don't want to typecast him as that. That's not fair. I unfairly maligned him earlier by saying that he had a mullet when he didn't have a mullet. So I want to be nice to him. Oh, my God. Miles Kelly. That 3 looked like Charles Kelly shooting, man. He's had some good shots earlier, but that wasn't it. Matt says, Wu-Tang Clad says you need to diversify your bonds. Daniel D., we talked about in the last show about Walker White, who has gone to Baylor, and he just said that he was, oh boy, that was a regrettable defensive move there. He went to Baylor and said that he's glad to be at a place that develops quarterbacks, which some people here, and for reasons that I understand, thought that was kind of him denigrating the Auburn staff. I didn't look at it that way. I think he was just saying, hey, man, I'm coming here. They're good with quarterbacks. That's why I wanted to be here. Which isn't to say that Auburn's bad with quarterbacks, although we probably think that, but I don't think he was doing that. That would be completely out of character for him. And everything Freeze did for him and his mom and his family, I don't see that at all. I don't think that's what he was trying to say. John D. just says part of estate planning along with a will. I do have, this is something that I did after my mom passed away when I realized how important that was. We only have one kid. She doesn't have it in her possession yet, but I've got a way to get to Maddie a list of everything. Like, here's all the accounts we have. Here's the passwords and stuff, and here's how you get access to it. You're named as a beneficiary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and until my mom passed away and I saw how thorny that could be, I did not think to do that. So very good advice there, John. Very, very good advice for those of you who are a little older like me. I'm 52. And nobody likes to think about death, but hey, man, we got to make it. If something were to happen, you got to be able to give folks that you love and care about and adore, a roadmap for how to navigate difficult times. That's a very good non-call on the last 3-point shot by Missouri of the half, and also admirable restraint from Chaney to not foul him. Now, Dennis Gates, who is not related to Kevin Gates, was disappointed that was not a foul, but I am not, and I did not think it was a foul. Let's see. Stoop Up says the Mizzou coach looks like the guy who shows up to your house the morning after a Diddy party to make sure nothing gets out. So you're saying he's familiar with baby oil. He's a baby oil rep, okay? Maybe he was. Maybe he was. All right, we're going to get some hot, fresh stats up here. It's getting to be that time. Hey, Damian Fishback, my man. I love Damian Fishback. I like talking to him. He's a very wise person. I didn't necessarily think of him that way when he was a player. He seemed like kind of a screwball when I covered him as a player. But as a grown-ass man now, he's much different. I guess we're all different as we get older, but he's really cool. I like him a lot. Lives in Atlanta. He's like a financial analyst. From Bowling Green, Kentucky. Came to Auburn because his dad had played for Cliff in junior college. And Fish was not pursued at a level that he thought was reasonable from the University of Kentucky. even though he played in Bowling Green, was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Kentucky. Had he gone to Kentucky, he would have been teammates with Mark Pope, who's now the coach at University of Kentucky. Small Victory said, knew him pretty well at school, talking about Damien, I imagine. Not that he was a bad guy. He was always fun and friendly. I don't know. He just didn't seem particularly wise to me at that point, but he sure does now. But, I mean, hey, we like to think we're all getting better, right? There he is, Cassidy P., the man himself. I got a Christmas card from Mr. and Mrs. Cassidy P. It was very nice. Thank you for sending that. I'm glad to see that family that you and the missus are building. Doing a great job. Not sure what stat sheet shows, but need more boards. Yeah, Auburn -1 rebounding. That's not great. Missouri is not known to be a great rebounding team. But, Pat Adams, you know how it goes. My favorite stat to look at is assist-to-turnover ratio. 7-7 for Missouri. 10-5 for the Auburn Tigers. 5 the turnovers for a half is, for most teams, would not be too bad, but for Auburn, that's a lot. Typically, a half for Auburn is 2 or 3 turnovers. We mentioned earlier Auburn -1 on the rebounding tip. Not great. 58% shooting from the floor is fantastic. 7 of 13 from 3, which is on par. Great. 10 of 14 from the floor. You love to see that 14. Auburn's probably had a bunch of games this year where they didn't shoot 14 for the half. For the game, and they hit that for the half here. So they're kind of using Missouri's plan against Missouri, which is cool. Kind of driving a little bit more. Missouri's been driving like maniacs in this game. 42% from the floor for Missouri. 2 of 10 from 3, which doesn't surprise me. It is a shitty number, but they're just not known as a good three-point shooting team. Mark Mitchell, 1 of 3. Tamar Bates, who's not known as a great three-point shooter, 0 of 4. And the 2 guys that can actually shoot on this team are Warwick, who's 0 of 1, and Caleb Grill, who's 0 of 1. So that's not working out great for them. Auburn with 6 blocks, which is a lot for them. 3 from Dylan Cardwell. And that was one of my picks to click in this game, right? I said that Auburn has the postest with the mostest, and that was part of it. I didn't think that Missouri had what it took to defend Auburn, to repel Auburn, and then to take it in there and really do damage against them unless they're driving. And that's what's happening. This game is basically unfolding exactly the way I would have expected it to. Kind of grindy with Mizzou not shooting well. Chip says, Cal getting dumped on. You hate to see it. Oh, God, I hate to see it. I mentioned earlier I was talking to my friend Keith when he was hoping that the Arkansas team had a chance against Tennessee today, which they did not, and I told him they didn't. But I said, Cal's okay to cheer for compared to Muss, but not by much. I mean, everybody hates Musselman, but I don't know if everybody hates Cal, but he's a hard guy to cheer for. I'm glad that I don't have to cover him. Just very gregarious and self-assured in a way that's not cool. Let's see. Russell says the best thing to come out of the Eagles was probably left at some point by one of them. I can't even finish that. I can't believe you would denigrate a dead man like that. Glenn Fry is who he's talking about, I think. Could be Don Henley. And I think Don Henley was more with Don Henley. Wasn't he the one that was more with Stevie Nicks? Wasn't it Don Henley? Matt N says, anyone said smash the like button yet? If you have not, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. Please, let's get those. Somebody just reneged on a thumbs up. Who would do that? Why would you do that? 19 thumbs up, guys. We need more than that. We definitely need more than that. I like the things that Auburn's been doing. Let's go back. Let me hide these stats. Let's go back to my keys of the game, which I showed before the game. I actually put them on the video that I posted last night. Unfortunately, I had to redo the whole video because I screwed up and said that Missouri hadn't beaten Kansas, even though I had it on my card that they had beaten Kansas. Stupid, man. So I had to retape the whole thing. Cassidy P. says, Don Henley and Stevie Nicks were romantically involved, had an abortion, which led to the Fleetwood Mac song, Sarah. I did not know that. I thought that song was about her friend Sarah. But I know that she makes a reference to that Velvet Underground, which would be him too, right? I believe so. Yeah. I'm back to the Velvet, that Underground or whatever. Defend without fouling was my number one key, which I think Auburn's done a nice job of. I think it was John D. Yeah. Not only has been giving us great end of life advice, but also counting up fouls. Says Chad Bacon-Lazan is the only one with 2 fouls. So they're doing a hell of a job there. Central penetration is Missouri's gotten to the free throw line, both shooting and also as driving, a little more than I thought they would have. Monitoring the 3 field goal threats, yeah, done a pretty good job there. Missouri's 2 of 10 from the 3-point line, and that hadn't really been an issue. Assume nothing in the pass game. Auburn has 5 turnovers. Really, I can only think of one that was what I'm talking about here, which is you can't make lazy passes. Simo had a lazy pass that got picked, but whatever. Use deflections to run and gun. What was the number in the fast break here? Points, fast break, Auburn's down actually 7 points. I thought they had a few more than that. Interesting. So they haven't necessarily used a lot of deflections to run and gun. And the postest with the mostest, Janai and Dylan have been terrific down there. And Chaney's had some good success as well. Let me take a look at the numbers. I didn't look at Chaney specifically. 5 points, 1 board, 2 assists, no turnovers, 1 block. So that's not too bad for him. Honestly, man, I look at these stats, and it just looks like they're running a lot of open. Because it's so... everybody's getting a little piece, and BP loves it that way. That's the way he likes it, when everyone's contributing. Mobile Lum in the Hizzle says, hey, JG, how you doing this year? It's early still. It's only the 4th, but pretty good. I'm still bipedal, so that's good. Cassidy Pieces' Ole Miss camera angle is taken straight from the Sea of Tranquility. I don't know what that means, but it is kind of odd. Kind of reminds me of the way it is at Ohio State. Maybe they have a new arena now. I haven't watched Ohio State in a while, but back in the day, it was straight up, Yeah. You guys don't like that camera angle at Ole Miss. I get it. I do. Really good half, honestly, in my opinion. Auburn, 45 points scoring on 58% shooting. Golly. That's terrific. 7 of 13 from 3. They've had a bunch of splashes. Ball movement's been good. Really haven't been impeded too much by Missouri's defense, to be straight with you. I have been a little disappointed, I guess, or I could be critical, maybe I should say, of Auburn's defense. They've had too many. The fouling's been good, but they've just had too many easy buckets. Remember, there was that one transition bucket where the guy was 15 feet ahead of the closest defender, and then there's been a couple other situations where they got out in transition and beat Auburn back, which since the North Carolina game, really Auburn hasn't done any of that. Auburn's been really, really tight in transition defense, so I was surprised to see any lapses there. But, you give up 33 and a half, which means 66 in a game. That you should be able to win that. And, I think Auburn's going to win this game. Auburn, according to AWS, Auburn's got an 87% chance to win this ball game right now. You come out, Janai hits a 3, it goes up to 95. It's not my system, it's their system. Let's see. El Tigre Esquire says, well, in football news, Tanner Burns got a promotion. We've been talking about that. We talked about that at the top of the show. I did get a promotion. Looks like he's going to be watching the LSU highlights. He's going to be covering either corners or nickels. Going to be a defensive assistant, and also, as we understand it, going to continue being the special teams coordinator, which surprises me. But I did make the argument earlier, El Tigre, that if you were a Tanner Burns sympathist, which you are not, nor am I, but if you were, you could say, hey, man, it's not his fault that Alex got sick and couldn't kick this year. Alex was, I believe, perfect last year. And you have every reason to believe if he wasn't perfect, he would have been damn good this year. He's felled by a strange physical ailment that they still don't have a great hold on. And they rely on Magoo, Can-Do Magoo, and Ian Vachon, and neither one of them really can get much done. I think Auburn probably gave up, I don't know, guys, certainly one game, maybe two from kicking foibles. So I'm a key area of the team to have a problem this year. But, can you put Tamarick Burns on the hook for Alex being sick? Yes, of course you can. You can do whatever you want. But D. Lucky and some others are making the point, though, and I think it's a good point, that it goes beyond the field goal kicking, which was the most obvious blight on the special teams operation. However, way too many penalties on special teams, and there were some other shortcomings as well. Special teams, just as a rule for Auburn this year, was a disaster. So, with the possible exception of Malcolm Simmons being really good as a returner, and getting rid of Keontae as a returner, but yeah. Cassidy Pieces, John Brady really has the Bayou Bengals looking like they've turned a corner. John Brady, the effervescent John Brady, probably the most miserable coach I've ever personally known or interviewed. Just a miserable person. Like, he just, every day it's like, somebody came into his house and kicked his dog or something, it's just down. Let's see, Frank G. Interesting point here. Jay, do you think we'll see some Auburn Nike gear previews before the official transition day? I doubt it. Not officially. I can't say for sure, but I may have seen some stuff. I may have seen some Nike stuff. By the way, but I if I had, I couldn't never tell you about it because I may or may not have signed a non-disclosure agreement on that. I got the Baumburgers here, which is a bourbon I've not had before. We got this at the allocation just mere days ago. It might have been 2 weeks ago. Here in Montgomery, I did not pull a number, but we rolled in there at like 2 o'clock, and they still had a lot of stuff left. I had a choice between the Baumburgers and the Shanks. Went with the Baumburgers, and it's good. I don't think it's worth what we paid for it, but I say that about bourbon all the time. I spent a lot of time, like 2017 to maybe 2023, like chasing coveted, difficult to find bourbons. And my friend Cuz from across the street did the same thing. And so we drank a lot of good bourbons in the last 6 or 7 years. And the truth of the matter is that it's at least my experience, and mostly been his as well, that a lot of times these coveted bourbons are no better than the ones that you can find in the ABC store. So I've been kind of changing gears on that and drinking more regular bourbon, with the exception of Lux Row 12 year, which is truly fantastic. Not super expensive, but just hard to get your hands on because I think they sell it only at the distillery there in Bardstown, across the highway from Bardstown Bourbon Company, which I think makes it even more difficult because everybody who goes there wants to go see Bardstown Bourbon Company. It's like this beautiful glass palace, and you've got Lux Row across the highway. It doesn't look like much, but it's kind of like the Millennium Falcon, guys. They may not look like much, but it's got where it counts. I feel like a stranger says, I served John Brady while bartending in Baton Rouge. Can't confirm he was a miserable bastard. He really, really was. He really was. He had a great SID, though. Kent Austin was his name. Was his name Kent Austin? Kent, what was his name? Kent Austin is the coach at Auburn. Kent Lowe. Why would I say Austin? Kent Lowe. And Kent was like such a nice person. He worked with John Brady. He was such a jerk. Oh, man. Wrong screen there, homie. Now I can see it. I can't see what it says, though. What does his little screen say? It should say Virginia double dribbled. What it should say. War Eagle 0008 says, Will Wade will be back in Baton Rouge before this thing is over. That would be funny. He's doing work, right? At like Northwestern State or Coppin State or somewhere down there. He got him in the tournament last year or something. The dude can coach, but he can also cheat. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's fun to rag on Will Wade, but the stuff he did, he'd probably be fine now, right? Chip says, I'm having some eggnog with some Kirkland brand spiced rum. How do we feel about that, guys? I mean, we love thrifty choices. And I don't believe in spending extra money that you don't need to spend, but I don't know. That seems maybe a little too far on that one. Yeah, his ability to cheat no longer gives him an advantage, right? Because cheating's legal now. Or at least, you know what I mean. It's not really cheating anymore. We're already back to business here, guys. Jeez, that was a short halftime. I feel like we were talking about Damian Fishback like 5 seconds ago. So let's get it up and let's get it going. 45-33 is where we start in the second half of this game at Neville Arena. A game that Auburn's had really pretty much in its grasp since the 5-minute mark or so. Well, whatever, the 15-minute mark of the first half. They just don't have that presence in the post. That's we were talking earlier about A.D. Scott. Like, that's the kind of play he would have made. Like, he just doesn't have that polish at all. And I mean, I watched him in practice. I'm not supposed to talk about what goes on in practice. I think BP, when he does that, he's talking more about scouting and stuff. If you're talking about an individual player, I don't think he cares as much. But it's like AD was going against Janai in practice the other day, and he decides he's going to go against Janai, which is admirable. And he, tries like a spin move, and it's just not pretty looking. It's not compact. His legs are flayed out. He's not getting up very high, and ultimately the shot goes nowhere near the basket, and you're just kind of like, okay, I understand why he's not playing now. Great pass from Chad Bacon, Lasagna. We need another pass right there, and Auburn gets it, and that's an easy deuce. Looks like Dylan got poked in the eye, or his contact's messed up or something. Another incredible pass, a geometry-defying throw from Chad Bacon Lasagna to get the ball down there to Janai. Laid it out right in front of him beautifully. Geez, 33 threw 2 elbows and then slapped him in the face or in the eye. Jeez. That was a rough exchange there. Frank G says, I've heard some Kirkland liquor is actually some good stuff, but rebranded. I've heard their vodka is Belvedere. Yeah, definitely some of their bourbon is Barton. So that's not bad. To me, that's like, middle of the road. But Old Bardstown is actually technically Willet, and it's not great juice. So, I mean, I like it at $20 a bottle. Don't get me wrong. Cassidy P says the only way to enhance Cardwell's superpowers is to have him wear a Rip Hamilton-esque face mask to make him look like a scary man from Friday. He's literally trying to throw a punch here. As completely done on purpose. It's a very cynical situation we're looking at. That's basically a punch. He's not, he's disguising it. It was like a punch, a swing back, and then a face slap. All in one like little thing. And he's going to look up there and go, what? I didn't do that. I didn't swing at anybody. Dude, you did it 3 times. Canoeman says Old Bardstown is not bad at the price point. I completely agree. There was a time, I think it was right before COVID, when we would always, on our way back from Kentucky, well, that must have been before COVID because we were going back and forth on the road up until 2018, but at the Party Cities there, you could get Old Bardstown for $19. Well, hell, at that point, yeah, 100%. We would use that as our official tape mixer. It has since jumped up to like $25 a bottle, and that's a little more. Frank G asks, is Blanton's good bourbon? The short answer to that is yes. The proper answer to that is it depends on what you're paying for it. I think retail on Blanton's is somewhere between $55 and $62. So if you're seeing it at that price, I think it's fine. A lot of times you'll see Blanton's for sale on secondary or at other smaller shops for $100 or more. And for me, it's not worth $100. It's a little low proof. It's just kind of soft bourbon. It's completely fine at $60 a bottle, and it's a really nice bottle. It's a good bottle to have. It just looks cool. But, yeah, it's fine. I'd be interested in what Canoeman thought about that on Blanton's. That's a great question for a bourbon newcomer to ask because you've always been told, hey, Blanton's. But D Lucky says, I bought Eagle Rare at the CVS in Vegas last week. I was both happy and pissed off concurrently. I like that. Yeah. Eagle Rare for me is a better bourbon than Blanton's. I like it better. But I respect people's opinions who would like Blanton's better. I'm cool with that. I did pick up a bottle of the Eagle Rare at the allocation. It was an ABC store pick, and it was, I believe, $32, which is a great price for Eagle Rare. A lot of times you see that at 55 or more. I would still probably drink Eagle Rare at 50, but I wouldn't want to go to 60. Because once you get up to 60, you're in that. I can get some of that 1910 or 1920 Old Forester, which I would probably take over that. But there ain't no way you're getting 1910 Old Forester at $32 a bottle. That won't happen. Let's see. A researcher, Desperado is giving this the update there. A researcher said alcohol. Sorry, getting a lot of chats in here. Alcohol is really bad for us all. Sorry to be Killjoy. She said even one beer a day is bad. Well, I got some other stories to tell you. Banging ugly girls is bad, or guys. Driving on the highway is dangerous. You might get hit by a comet if you walk outside or if you stay inside. If you fly an airplane, you might die. And if you watch Magnolia, you might believe that frogs actually could rain. But weird things happen sometimes, guys. If alcohol makes you happy, I don't understand why you can't just have some. Okay? I don't advocate binge drinking unless you're in college. But if you're an old person like me, I think it's okay to have a little bit here and there. Don't you do it, Schaefer. Don't you do it. I know you're asking a question, but we're not doing Eagles references in this chat, okay? We're not doing it. Let's see. Knuman says, I do not count finding Blanton's over retail as finding Blanton's. That is fair. You're not really finding it, are you? It's because other people passed on it. We're going to do that. We believe that was fairly adjudicated. The vicious double swing at Dillon was found to be a technical foul. Cheney is up there shooting the free throws, and he hits them both to get Auburn to 49, and I believe they'll have the ball. And look at Dillon. He's fine. He's no worse for wear. Let's see. Frank G says, what's the best bourbon that doesn't take sleuthing or waiting in line to procure, i.e. not Pappy? It's a great question. Now, that one's a little bit different. That really is kind of something that depends on you and what you want. For me, gosh, there's a lot. I like Blade and Bow at $50 a bottle. I like that's a little spicy, peppery. I love Old Forester 1910 and 1920, which are probably more like $55 to $60 a bottle. You can find those everywhere. They're ubiquitous. And I think that's terrific bourbon. Russell's Reserve 10-year, $52. It's available widely. Knuman, am I missing anything here? There's a lot of good bourbon that you can just find at the store, man. Bardstown Bourbon Company is almost always in the store where I'm at. You can get the white label, the black label. They're both like $40-ish to $50-ish a bottle, and it's terrific, man. It's really good bourbon. In fact, that might be the most consistent bourbon you can find. If you really want kind of a premium that's easy to find, I would say some of the barrel stuff. Barrell. It's a company. They make... I used to have one in here, but I don't have. I took it downstairs. But they make kind of like these egg-shaped bottles. They're really pretty. And those are good, too. Cost a little bit more. But Knuman says Russell's Reserve is vastly underrated. I completely agree. You don't hear hardly anybody talk about it unless they're serious bourbon people. I mean, it's there all the time, and I think people just overlook it because it's Wild Turkey, basically, you know. And Wild Turkey, I don't know. That's a great take all the way down the floor, end to end, by Janai Broom. And he finished with his right hand. Lovely. Wild Turkey, I think, has got a stigma among bourbon drinkers of a certain age, probably anybody from 40 and older. Because it just reminds me of something your dad would have drank, you know. Your granddad would have had Old Turkey. Schaefer Kia says, I got a handle of Crown Reserve. Wow, that's great. However, I also have some Fireball. Wow, guys. I'm going to give him an applause for that one. Hey, man, I drink a little Fireball here and there. It's basically like a Starlight Mint. It's just like super sweet, but and they make it. This is a true story. If you go to Buffalo Trace, the lines for it where they bottle it is right next to where they do Blanton's. It's probably 50 yards away. No, 25 yards away. Warrior0008 says Russell's reserve is great. Smart man's Evan Williams. That is fair. If you're going even lower, like from the price ladder, Evan Williams single barrel is delicious. It's probably $33 a bottle, something like that. It's great. Chip says found the back end, the business end, some would say, of a Four Roses single barrel when I went to get the Swoogan glass. I love Four Roses. It's terrific. That's my second favorite, like a line, right? If I show up at the ABC store and I got to get something and they don't have the Old Forester that I'm looking for, I would be completely fine with some Four Roses. Small batch or single barrel. Whoa, Chad Bacon lasagna. Again, defying geometry with some of these shots, man. I don't understand. He's just got this keen understanding of parabolas. Board. This is where Auburn makes the push right here. So Auburn's got it up to 20, and they're in such command right now. This is where you want to see him push it out, get another 6 or 8 points here real quick. Denver with a shot. Denver with a splash. They push that out to 57. Missouri's in real trouble here, guys. They've been in real trouble the whole time, but it's looking pretty dire right now. They just don't have the shooters to get back in this game. This reminds me of like you used to think like Oklahoma back in the 80s when they ran the wishbone, right? They were really good and they didn't get behind very much, but if they ever did get behind, they had a hard time catching up because they didn't have a quick fire offense. And Missouri, without its three-point shooting, they don't have three-point shooters really. They just can't get back into games quickly. They got to grind you out and they got to get to the line. And it's got to be a slow, arduous thing. But Auburn, on the other hand, nah. They've got the shooters. They got the inside guys. They got the shooters. They got the transition guys. They got the passers. They got everything. Auburn's got just a little bit of everything, if we're being real. Kanuman, I do have an update on this. He says, welcome home, Spicy P. I'm glad to see Spicy P in the chat. I talked to Spicy P about this, but I had blocked him. I muted him, excuse me, at a show that we did in November or December. I don't remember what was going on. And he's coming in on me a little bit. And I meant to just kind of knock him out of that show to let him cool off and then come back to the next show. Well, little did I know, when you do that to somebody on YouTube, they're gone until you bring them back. And so Spicy P was inadvertently muted from our conversations for far too long. And that's on me, and I apologize to him personally for it. And he seemed okay with that. So we're glad to have him back in the chat. It's appreciated. Important member of the community here, and did not mean for him to be out long term. He did not deserve that. All right, let me see if I can take a look at a second half box here. You guys know I love second half box when we're getting started in the second half. Sometimes the data from those takes me a little bit longer to populate. All right. Second half stats coming up. Now, again, this is just for the second half so far. Look at that. 12-1, guys. We like that. We like that a lot. Denver with 5, Janai with 2, Chad Bacon Lasagna with that 3, that parabolic 3. I don't know if he has another kind of 3. And Auburn's just absolutely crushing it. 4 of 6 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line. They're 0 for 5 from the floor. That's not great. 0 assists and 2 turnovers for them, 2 turnovers and 0 assists for the Auburn Tigers. So, Cassidy P says JGT showing some box, some fresh box. You got Burgo there, Coach Pruitt Stephen Pearl in their usual spots, and Coach Corey and also Coach Ira flanking the head coach there with Maddox standing up, the graduate assistant. Some legends on that staff, too. It's been fun watching practice this year. Burgo's gotten very he has a more authoritative presence at practice now. And it's very obvious that he is BP's always in control of everything, but he has certainly earned, I'm talking about Burgo here, has certainly earned the head coach's trust when it comes to teaching concepts and affirming concepts in practice. Burgo's got free reign to do that. It's pretty cool to watch him kind of, I guess, come of age. He's not 12 years old, but you know what I mean. He's really on his way up. Great play by Chaney there to dissuade that drive. It's good feet. Great challenge from Janai. Did it without fouling. Coach Smith would be very happy with that. Don asks, banking on the box is bad. Don, it depends on which box you're talking about. These second half boxes, I think, give a very clear perspective. But sometimes other boxes can be a little muddled or cloudy with what they're trying to say or show. Chaney Johnson. Ooh, I'm going to give him a drop on that one. Drop. It's a really nice little turnaround. He's playing with so much confidence right now. Auburn with a steal. Miles is driving. Oh, my goodness. Behind the back pass, got a little cute, gave it to Vanilla Ice. I didn't say that. Gave it to Connor Grill. That's a nice rebound, but they're going to call a foul before the rebound. How about that? Desperado says, do you think Burgo is back next year? So they'll pay him. I need to ask that. I need to have this conversation with Burgo. I actually thought about it the other day when I was at practice. You know, what is Burgo trying to actually do here? Like, I think everybody would want to be an assistant coach, right? But the way that it works now, he really is an assistant coach, honestly. Like, if you watch practice, he's a real coach. He can do real stuff. So, I don't know. I don't think he would leave Auburn to just go be the third or fourth guy on a bench. You know, I think he'd have to go and be like a conciliary or a two. You know, something like that. I think the guy's wildly talented. I don't know how much he loves recruiting, like going into actual homes, the way the BP and Steven do. I wonder if just the X's and O's is his passion, and if that's something that he'll kind of stick with. I think Auburn values him highly and pays him and shows that respect for him. So we shall see. Cassidy B says Burgo less good than Burgoo, but it's pretty damn close. JGT, your thoughts? Wow, I love Burgoo. I would have to go back and see exactly what is involved with Burgoo. I have had it at Uncle Mick's. I know that it's a Cajun dish. I think of it as a Cajun dish. It says it originated in Kentucky. I did not know that. Let's see what is in it. Traditional burgoo was made using whatever meats and vegetables were available, sometimes including venison, squirrel, possum, raccoon, or even game birds, and was often associated with autumn and the harvest season. Today, local barbecue restaurants use a specific meat in their recipes, usually pork, chicken, or mutton, which, along with the spices used, creates a flavor unique to each restaurant. How about that? You can also include vegetables like lima beans, corn, okra, tomatoes, cabbage, and potatoes. Soup bone stocks can be added for taste and thickening. All right, burgoo. Knuman says, sounds like a Kentucky dish. We make the most of what's around. As Dave Matthews would say, we make the best of what's around. Not that I listen to Dave Matthews a lot. Been listening to a lot of System of a Down lately, which is a lot different than Dave Matthews Band. Don't think I properly appreciated the song Aerials when it came out in 2000. Been really liking that song lately. Also like the message behind it, which is that we must rise from our position embedded in our lives, and we've got to think more highly. We've got to think above the fray. We've got to understand that we're merely cogs in a very large piece of machinery. one man's opinion on that. You may not like System of a Down, and I would respect it if you didn't. My wife doesn't like them at all. Chop Suey would certainly count as one of their songs, along with BYOB, Toxicity. Good stuff there. How about Voices Carry? One of the great songs by System of a Down. That's pretty good. I think they did a cover of Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, too. It was a good one. Really a good rocker. They are going to be on a tour this summer. Unfortunately, it's going to be in South America, so if I wanted to go see them play, I'd have to go to Brazil or Argentina or Colombia, which I don't think I'm going to do. I don't think my wife would go for that. Hey, let's just go down to Brazil and see System of a Down. She would be like, yeah, let's not do that. Unusual, like, bad take by Janai there. It seemed like his footwork was all wrong, and the shot just didn't look good. But ultimately, that doesn't matter because Missouri didn't score on the ensuing possession, and Auburn's reset and going right back to it. So, Schaefer Kia says SOD is good in spots. I like them. Frank G says, any love for Limp Bizkit? I watched a video on Drumeo that was released this week where Stuart Copeland, the outstanding drummer from the Police, had to play a song that he'd never heard before, and the song was, I think it was Rollin'. I think it was Rollin'. It was definitely Limp Bizkit from that record, the record after the Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water is one of those songs. And it was so interesting to me. I'm a bad drummer, but I wish that I could be a good drummer. And even if you're not a drummer, I think they're fascinating to see how each drummer like figures it out. Some people draw it. They literally like chart it, and then other people just kind of get the flow in their ear. They can just hear it. They can't explain it, but they just hear it. It's amazing to see. Stuart Copeland would certainly be the latter. Let's see. Chip says JGT and administrative assistant should join myself and the Chipettes in Atlanta for They Might Be Giants 328. Now, I think I would dig that show. Now, I can't say that I'm a fan necessarily of their whole catalog because I don't know it, but like Anna Ang is one of my probably 25 favorite songs ever. Obviously, everybody loves Birdhouse in Your Soul. Don't Let Start is probably one of my 50 favorite songs ever. So, I mean, they've done some good stuff, man. They seem like they just have a good time. The music's fun. I like it. Don't let start. I've got a weak heart. Limp Bizkit, I think, is underrated. I think they really kind of got in trouble because Fred Durst is kind of a very polarizing person, I think is fair to say. I love the new thing he's doing where he's like the old man. He's like leaning into the old man thing. Or at least he was at Lollapalooza 2 years ago. But I think it's really funny. I get a huge kick out of it. But Wes Borland is really good as the guitarist. And their drummer, John, is really good too. So they got some good musicians in that band is the trick. Great play by Tahad. Oh, he didn't get rewarded with the ball. Unlucky. Missouri with them some nice passing there. Got a wide open three and couldn't get it down. Missouri's just not going to get in this game. They don't have enough offense to stay in this game. They just don't have what it takes right now. Beppo, my man, I've referenced you several times today, bro. Glad to have you here. He says 90s alt rock. What a time to be alive. Well, you're so right about that. I'm so glad that I really kind of came alive in the 90s. Late 80s and 90s. You got to see the rise and fall of Nirvana. I got to see Alice in Chains that I still listen to all the time. And I mean, what else we got from that era? Pearl Jam, which is not my thing really, but I respect them a lot. Dave Matthews Band, which isn't grunge, but it's, we got another splash. Auburn up to 62. This game's getting out of hand. Great way to start the SEC season, guys. Missouri's a solid team. I mean, I think they'll finish middle of the league. They're going to win some games. And Auburn's just thrashing them. And I don't think Auburn's playing particularly well today, honestly. I mean, they're going to score 85, 90 points, and I don't think they're playing great. They are hitting threes. But the ball movement's just been okay. Rebounding's been okay. But they're getting it done for sure. Frank G, Rage Against the Machine, he references, absolutely. How could I forget them? The highlight of Woodstock 98 for me. Yeah, I would say that's the highlight. Them are just Megadeth closing it out. I like Megadeth. I like Dave Mustaine. He's a little weird now, but I mean, he's always been weird. But I like Dave Mustaine. A lot of Metallica people think he's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. He was just, I don't know. Somebody had to go, man. Had too many head honchos in Metallica. I think they still have too many, honestly, because Lars and James, that's a lot there. If it weren't for Kirk, I think these people would be done for a long time ago. Just because Kirk is such a nice, balancing person, kind, quiet, slow to anger. The Chili Peppers Spicy P, great point. I see. So they kind of came to me like in the late 80s. And then as I've told the story before on the show, I came this freaking close to getting Chili Peppers signed to play at Trancy in 91. But we couldn't get clearance to use the soccer field. This is before Blood Sugar Sex Magic. This is as Mother's Milk had kind of burned out a little bit. And they were still gettable. You could probably get them for $25,000 or $30,000 at that time, plus whatever else. Pocket says Rage was one of my Woodstock highlights as well. We're going to give him a laugh on that one because that's Pocket Watch. That's his way of saying, I saw plenty. There were so many zeniths for me at Woodstock. I'm jealous. I'm very, very jealous. Melee says he saw Glenn Danzig at Sloss up in Birmingham. I still think I have a chance to go to heaven. That is great. I got a lot of appreciation for Glenn Danzig. I can't say I'm super familiar with his work, but yeah, Thunder Kiss is badass. And I have one on my playlist I listen to all the time. Dragula. That's Rob Zombie. I'm sorry. I'm getting that mixed up. That's terrible, dude. That's disrespectful. I'm sorry. Let's see. Somebody thought Blood Sugar Sex Magic was an all-time 10 out of 10 complete work. What are some 10 out of 10 records from the 90s? Like grunge type records. I mean, I would agree that Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I'm not sure I give it a 10 though. I might give it a 9. I mean, Nevermind's a 10. Pearl Jam 10 is probably a 10. Alice in Chains Unplugged is a 10 for me. Greta Van Fleet. I've listened to some of their stuff. I like it. Definitely has an old school vibe to it. Pearl Jam 10. A lot of people are agreeing that was a masterpiece. Again, I don't even like Pearl Jam, and that was a masterpiece to me. Rage. Boy. Yeah, I don't know about a 10 out of 10 record, though. For me, Violator would be a 10 out of 10 record from 1990, but that's not grunge. That's Depeche Mode. You got Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, Halo. So good. Oh, Super Unknown, Chip mentions. Yes. Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun, Jesus Christ Pose. Some good stuff there. And I know Chip's brought this up before, but Ned's Atomic Dustbin is like the ultimate like name dropper for people who like know way too much about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm familiar with Ned's Atomic Dustbin, and the only people I know who listen to them are people like Chip who know like way too much about it. Like, I don't mean that. I mean that in a loving way. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Like, these are people that are just like super, super into that genre. I need to get you guys some stats. I owe you some stats. I'm surprised Beppo hasn't gotten on me about this. And again, I say that in a very loving way. Let me get this second half. I think we're still in a situation where I'd like to see second half stats. Takes me a little bit longer to populate these stats. Oh, no. It takes me a hell of a lot longer when I get the wrong ones, dumbass. What are you doing? That's 100% on me right there. Populated the wrong stats, guys. I got the play-by-play, and that is not what I need right now. I need a box score for you guys. Oh, Jay, come on, bro. What are you doing? All right. There we go. Sorry, guys. Sometimes my 52-year-old fingers don't quite work the way that they used to. Lord have mercy. Missouri really has 5 points in this half? I mean, I know that's probably true. It's provable, but I didn't realize it was that bad. 19-5. Assist to turnover ratio for them is 0 assists, 5 turnovers. Auburn's a 5 assists on 7 buckets and 3 turnovers, which is still a high turnover number for this point in the half, but not awful. But when you're shooting 7 of 14 from the floor and they're 2 of 14, it's going great. Fell on Black Days is, that's a top 5 song of all time for me. And it has a lot of that's because, first of all, it's amazing. I think it's some of Chris Cornell's best work singing. But the story behind it, the meaning behind it, the mood that surrounds that song in conjunction with what it's talking about is just amazing. And if you haven't seen the version that's on the YouTubes, which is not the one that's on the record, it's even better, in my opinion. An absolute masterpiece. I heard Jesus Christ Pose the other day on, I think it was on Octane or Ozzy's Boneyard. It was somewhere it didn't quite belong, but it kind of did when I thought about it. Because when I first saw it, I was like, what? And then you start thinking about the song, and you're like, oh, yeah, it kind of does fit here, doesn't it? Damon reminds us, which is something I needed to be reminded of last night when I was doing the video that I screwed up. They did beat Kansas. This Missouri team beat Kansas. That's 5 pump fakes. And he was able to get the ball off, but he did not get it into the bucket. They're having some difficulty getting the ball into the bucket, Missouri is right now. Auburn is harassing and haranguing them at every single turn. And number 1 got a really tough shot off and put it in, so that was nice. They're up to 41 points now, guys. I believe Bob Chubb wore number 41, didn't he? 64. Hell, I've got Auburn 2 points off. Wow, that was an ambitious drive from Tahad. I didn't think it was a foul personally, but what unusual, I would not say this normally, but Dylan got beat on that. He didn't get beat much today. Got beat on that one. Got a little, just a step out of position, and the guy just drove baseline on him and got to the hole. 64-43. Boy, Missouri gets a little push, and all of a sudden they're almost down 20. That's another assumed pass from Taha to Kai over there that almost got intercepted. It looked like Taha was kind of bitching at Kai there, and I don't think Kai takes kindly to bitching at all, so I'll be curious to see how that kind of works out. Let's see. Chip says Chris Cornell played solo acoustic at Hangout Fest maybe a year or 2 before he died. Very good. I have to check that out on the YouTubes. Hopefully it's there. Chip says Dr. Dre's The Chronic is a 10 out of 10. It's like didn't like this and like that. Spicy Pieces, the Outcast documentary is fantastic. Andre 3000 gets on stage at an event full of New York rich boys and says, the South is here and we got something to say. I love it. All right, Auburn getting some more slimy, grindy buckets, which is fine by me. They're attacking the bucket just the way that Missouri is. And Cheney's showing that he can get it done too. Excuse me. An ambitious pass from high to low, but he got it in there. Nice job. all of a sudden, we've got a little scoring surge here, really from both teams. Auburn's been scoring fine all day, but it was a nice possession that last time from Auburn. Janai's got a matchup he likes here. That was a great left-handed finish, plus the foul, plus he's going to pose on him. He's going to flex on him, as the kids say, as he should. Janai is just such a confident individual now. He really wasn't when he started here. He kind of got going last year and got really confident. Now he's just a man in control. Was that Ronnie Brown there on the sideline? Boy, I'm so cavalier when I think about how Janai is a better player in college than Barkley was here. But, the numbers aren't. I mean, Janai's better, but. I mean, not quite as much. Yeah, I saw that too, Frank G. I think that is Ronnie B. Tim the Tool Man is here with us. What's up, G? He says, as long as we cover, he don't care. Looks like Jakai at the line right here. Missed the front end, hits the second. So gets Auburn to 69. Wow, I did not think that dude could shoot at all. He just pulled up and hit a three from the top. I was just thinking that guy didn't belong on the floor. He just seems awkward and slow, but that was a nice stroke there. Missouri makes a big surge, and they're now within 21, guys. The Missouri Zagers are within 21. Uh-oh. Janai's coming home again. Look at him flex on him. Look at him. There's CY right there, my man. Carolyn Jones, his wife, who's one of the all-time great women's basketball players here at Auburn. He goes by CY, but his name's Charlton Young. But everybody who knows him calls him CY. He looks the same as he did when I knew him 25 years ago. The guy doesn't age. I wish it was like that for me. Really, really good guy, too. Just a really nice human being. They're doing some work at Missouri. That's got to be a travel. Come on, bro. Oh, they're going to call foul on Chaney there. It's a bailout big time. Or is it going to be on Kai? Interesting. He's strong. That's what Ravin says. I think you're right about that. He is pretty damn good. Tim says, how does Morehead State feel about Janai? Are they proud of where he is now or upset that he didn't really didn't stay at that level? I don't know. We got to ask Stoltze next time we have an opportunity. His parents are Morehead State people, and they still live up that way. So maybe they could share some insight on how he feels about that. My guess is that they're probably proud of him, though. I mean, it's Morehead, dude. Morehead's basically like Jacksonville State, but it's a proud basketball program. I mean, the people up there in Grayson County care a lot about it. And you hear about them in Lexington, which is maybe an hour away. It's halfway between Lexington and the West Virginia border is where Morehead State is. And so to me, it's a lot like Jacksonville State. Yeah, I mean, you got a guy from Morehead State who's like front runner for National Player of the Year. Like, come on, man. Like, you just can't hardly be a hater in that situation. Dude, Kai's going to get a foul here. Kai's going to get so frustrated about that. He doesn't like physical play at all. He hates getting bumped and jostled. 72-52. It's within 20, guys. It's a time of anxiety at Auburn. They're only up 20. I feel like the Hot has been on the ball more today than he has in any other game. He's just been a ball man. Like he's just like Janai. I feel like they start the game with Denver as being kind of like the de facto point, and then at some point about 10 minutes into the game, they transition to where Denver becomes an off-ball guy, and then Tahad just kind of becomes the point, you know. And it's so interesting to me because, like, this is supposed to be JP, right? I mean, that's what they went out. Ooh, come back here. That's what they went out and got JP for, and now he don't even play. It's so interesting. All right, we're going to get some hot, fresh stats, Beppo style. This time we're going to go ahead and look at the full scale overall box. You know, the first few segments of the second half, I like to have a second half box, I should say. But at this point in the game, you know, we've moved past that. Auburn had a great start to the second half. Really finished the first half on a bender too. Opened up great in the second half, and we're really thrashing them for a while. I mean, guys, Auburn's going to win this game, but you know, Missouri's played better in the last 3 or 4 minutes. BP don't like that very much. He gets frustrated. He'll be over there coaching the hell out of them right now. All right, so here's your overall situation. 10 assists and 12 turnovers for the Missouri Tigers. The Auburn Tigers, 16 assists and 9 turnovers. 16 assists on 24 buckets for the Auburn Tigers. It's not too bad. Rebounding +4 for Missouri, or -4 for Auburn, I guess I should say. That's going to be a point of contention. Beppo, my man, it's hot and fresh stats time. Schaefer Kia says Murray, Kentucky. I don't really know what he's saying. What about Murray? Murray's like almost as far away from Moorhead as you can get and still be in the state of Kentucky, because Murray's way down by Missouri. And then there's spots where Moorhead's a lot closer to Ohio or West Virginia. Schaefer Kia did say fell on black days. Reminds me of Auburn football the last few years. Hopefully it wasn't that bad. Such a powerful song, just like the actual musical part of it, and then you think about what the point of the song is or what he's talking about. It's a very, very deep one, and it's one that I know Feel Like a Stranger appreciates very much. The power of what that one does. Auburn shooting 57.1 from the floor. That's pretty good, as Gus would say. They're shooting 39%, so that's the difference in the game. And Auburn's ball handling's been better. Auburn's passing tempo has been really good today as well. Got a big game tonight. Texas and Texas A&M going to tangle. First meeting in 5 years. That's pretty cool. Mark Sears taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. I did not know Oklahoma was having that good of a year. Hell, they're undefeated. Shows you how much attention I'm paying to them. Mark Sears, of course, the outstanding All-American at Alabama. I probably would have come to Auburn. I would imagine. I don't know that. I haven't asked him that, but he was somebody that Auburn was talking to. But I didn't get the feeling in that period that Auburn was super, adamant about getting him. He was coming from University of Ohio in Athens, Ohio, the Bobcats. But at that time, Auburn had some other guys at point guard. That was a nice steal. Janai just got his pocket picked right there. Let's see. Schaefer says Murray is in southern Kentucky, about 3 hours from Memphis. I don't think it's that far. And I wouldn't call it southern Kentucky, although it is southern Kentucky. I think of it as southwestern Kentucky or western Kentucky, extreme western Kentucky. You don't really talk, if you live in the state of Kentucky, you don't talk about south, really. You don't talk south-north. You talk east-west. So you got the hills in eastern Kentucky and the plains in western Kentucky is what it is. And you could tell, the people sound different. If you're from the hills, Hazard, Whitesburg, Paintsville, where Jim Fife was from, Pikeville, they sound different than people from Princeton or Murray or Paducah or even like Hopkinsville or Owensboro. Cassidy P is not a fan of Mark Sears, probably because he plays for the University of Alabama, which I respect. Oh, great. We're going to compare Auburn and Alabama. Wonderful. Hell, I've forgotten that Alabama got to the Final Four last year. That's great for them. It's pretty close, honestly. I'll acknowledge that very begrudgingly. D-Lucky says, Tahad has not been great today. Lazy passes and shot has been off, and we are up 20 wild times. Yeah, Tahad is, we talked about that at the top of the show, D-Lucky, as you were there. I know you know, but the lazy passes are particularly fatal against Missouri. And he's had a few. He's had probably 3 just bad passes that I thought were lazy passes. And so as a result, I don't think this has been one of his good games. He hasn't been bad, though. He's been good administratively. But, yeah, like you said, his shot's just not there. But, hey, man, it's good. Yeah, Beppo, they did make a Final Four last year, unfortunately. You hate to see it, but nice little play there. Little alley-oop from him to Janai with the finish. And it's now 74-53. I've left Missouri a point short here. Well, Auburn's ratcheted up the pressure on the DHOs big time. Oh! Drop! Chaney with a big dunk off the pass from Tahad. Wisely getting rid of that ball and unselfishly getting rid of that ball. Auburn's so good in transition. So good in transition. Weigel did the perfect reverse jinx there where he said, feel like we've lost focus, not playing well, and then all of a sudden Auburn has 2 great possessions back-to-back, just zipping it and playing some great basketball. Good on defense, too. I thought that last possession that led to this fast break, I thought was one of their best defensive possessions of the game. They were really ratcheted up their pressure on the DHOs and the screens, and Missouri was just really befuddled by it. And you could see a turnover coming before it even happened because they were getting rattled and were unsure of what they were doing. Runner 24 says, oh, so I guess this game did not start at 6. Let's go ahead and give him a laugh on that one. Now, start at 3 o'clock our time, 4 o'clock your time. So yeah, we're a little deep into it. And as you would expect, after an Auburn game being an hour into it, Auburn's kicking the shit out of somebody yet again. But just to give you a quick recap, they played great the last 10 minutes of the half, Runner 24. And I think they were up about, I don't know, like 18 maybe at the half, something like that. And played really well the first 8 minutes or so of this half. Missouri's been better the last 5 or 6 minutes, but I mean, it's not really going to matter. 3-point shooting really was the big thing in the first half that differentiated the 2 teams. Auburn was super hot. And Denver was splashing. Miles Kelly splashed a few times. CBM had a couple parabolics. Oh, that was a very ambitious dunk, or a dunk attempt, I should say, by Chad. I was going to try to do a tip slam. That would have been like a Johnny Depp swashbuckling dunk right there. Janai tried one of those in practice the other day and had a similar fate. Didn't quite get there. He's not necessarily a great leaper. That was a nice shot from Missouri. They're playing better now. Again, it's these guys that Auburn's kind of okay with shooting threes that are hitting a few right now. So strategically, you're not freaking out about it. Not a confident possession there from Chaney at all. Just kind of had his head down and wasn't. Oh, he got spun out real bad on that one. Going that way. Missouri just can't shoot. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what's the problem here is. Missouri can't shoot from 3, and Auburn's great from 2-point range, and that's just kind of the way this game's been going. I mean, Janai's just too good, man. 20 points, only 5 boards. Hadn't been a big board game, really, for anybody. Just kind of seeing that scoring. Tahad's got 10 points, which surprises me a little bit. That's the second, just kind of botched alley-oop we've seen today, which is unusual. Auburn usually has 0 of those. Tahad got back quickly and was there to challenge, and also CBM was there to provide support on the back end of that one. They're going to call Tahad with a foul, and he's aghast. He can't believe it. He's beside himself. See, Small Victory says, BP Mad is my spirit animal. Cass DP says, Chaney.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Boy, that was a authoritative swing from Tahad to try to swat that ball. Oh, they called him for a tech. How about that? I didn't think it was worth that. I didn't think it was worth that. But that was pretty funny. And they play with a lot of enthusiasm, that's for sure. All right, so they get 2 freebies. I still don't necessarily see that, but okay. Look at Ira's just like, I don't really want to hear about it. We're up a billion points. And Dylan's trying to not laugh over something BP just said. I wonder what he said. That's pretty funny. This dude looks like Trey Donaldson kind of to me from a long way away, the guy shooting. Dude, even Ira's laughing at what Tahad must have been reacting to what BP said, and Ira was laughing about it too. All right, so Missouri's up to 59 now. Definitely have picked up the tempo a little bit. And Auburn has not been quite as good in the last 3 or 4 minutes, but it's not going to matter. But BP's he's somebody who likes to see his teams finish the game strongly. And he will absolutely chew ass if he feels like they're not trying. He apparently there with that affirming ass slap believes that Chaney is playing his ass off, which is common for Chaney. He's somebody that you don't have to question Chaney's desire or level of investment. You certainly don't have to do that with him. Sometimes you have to wonder about that a little bit with some of the other guys, but not Chaney Johnson. And not Tahad Pettiford. maybe Ja'Kai sometimes. Maybe. Maybe Chad sometimes. Although I like Chad. Chad most of the time is a sunny individual. He just has a tendency to kind of get angry. But he's better than he was. And Ja'Kai is definitely that way. Got to be, I think Rush sang about it, you got to be, was it quick, slow to judge, slow to anger, is what you want to be. Small Time Republic reminds us that Trey Donaldson indeed is at Michigan and starting for the Wolverines now. Trey Donaldson, a young man who played football and basketball in Tallahassee. BP felt very strongly that he was going to be a tremendous point guard. I'm not sure that he was a tremendous point guard at Auburn, although he was a good shooter. He was a better shooter than I thought he would be. And particularly that his freshman year in the tournament, he was really good too. Let's see, D. Lucky says lots of material for BP to coach and still a comfortable win. That's like best case scenario, right? Enough for him to be mad, but not enough for, Auburn to be in jeopardy or anything. I think one of the things I like about BP, there's a lot of things about BP I admire. I think the thing that really sets him apart as a coach is his ability to relate to different players in different ways. He's a master psychologist, and I've said this many times. He learned that from Dr. Tom Davis, who was himself a master psychologist. He worked for Tom Davis at Boston College. We worked for him there, and then both as a student and as a assistant coach, and then at Iowa too. His ability to be a great psychologist is, I think, his best trait. But just as valuable probably is his consistency with the kids. When he's on the basketball court, whether he's coaching or he's practicing, he's the same guy. He treats the players the same way. You know what I mean? He doesn't play favorites with them. He chews ass. And then if you play well 2 minutes later, he'll pat you on the ass and tell you you're doing a hell of a job. He don't hold grudges. He's a very consistent human being, and I respect that about him a lot. But there is another side to BP. There's the the lights aren't on BP. He's not on the court BP. He's a little bit more pensive. It's hard to think of BP as ever being pensive, but he can be. He's an interesting person, and I'm very glad, very, very glad to have covered him. I've covered some great ones. Rick Pitino had the same intensity that BP had, but I didn't think he was consistent like BP is. And Cliff was just a whole different kind of coach. Cliff needed a really, really strong assistance to help with the way he did things. And BP has some strong ones, but I don't necessarily know that he needs strong ones because he's just such an overwhelming figure. We just out here talking. Auburn's up, 19, 20. They're going to win this game. And he's talking about fun stuff. He coaches hard, is what Schaefer Kia says. I completely agree. He's one of the hardest coaches, I guess, in the country. I mean, he just absolutely brings it every single minute. Nate Oates, got to give him credit, even though none of us like him very much. He does that too. He's a very hard, ardent coacher. Oh, that's dirty, man. That is a great double turnaround with great footwork, great body control on that. And on an actual shot jump, he came from a really based position. I mean, it was a really fundamentally tasty shot. Just nice. This almost looks like a matchup zone or something there. Looked like Auburn was kind of in like one of those Joe Champy type. He would recoil if you called it a zone. He calls it a sagging man-to-man with zone principles, but definitely they're just testing out some stuff here. You got to keep that available. I think Chad Pruitt has been an instrumental part of implementing some zone concepts into their defensive menu, so to speak, that they have gone to a few times in the last couple of years, and I think it's good to stay fresh on it. Runner 24 says not to be off subject, but Tanner Burns, really, we're all kind of surprised. We're all kind of surprised by that one, honestly. Kanuman says, well put about Cliff. Thank you. Yeah, you knew him too. It's kind of a different kind of coach. Just he was like he would have been. He didn't necessarily talk a ton in practice. He always needed CY or Shannon Weaver, aka Weave, to do a lot in practice, and those guys were definitely up to it. That was a nice steal by not Trey Donaldson. That was not good by not Trey Donaldson. Chad, throw it. Oh, I thought that was going to be an alley, but no, he was just trying to put that straight in, wasn't he? Oh. He's trying to get an intentional on that, too. Always lobbying. Every day I'm lobbying. Yeah, Desperado says this has resembled rugby at times. It has been a very physical game. Agree completely. Let's see. Bill Miner says, remember BP making Tennessee relevant while he was there, and Lebo always beat him at Beard Eves. Yeah. He sure did. He did a great job at Tennessee. I mean, the thing is, BP's been good everywhere, right? I mean, he was good in Evansville. I bought a car in a little bit south of Indianapolis maybe 5 years ago. It was the year that Auburn went to St. Louis and shit a brick in the tournament. I think I was 18, yeah, and I bought a car south of Indianapolis, and people there were still talking about BP at Southern Indiana. Guys, that has been like 25, 30 years ago. He did a great job in Milwaukee. He did a great job at Tennessee, and he's done just an absolute whale of a job. I'd say Auburn is his masterpiece. I mean, this is dog shit program. And, I mean, Auburn's a consistent problem now and everywhere. I mean, not just the league, but in the NCAA tournament as well. Auburn is content to let number 4 shoot threes, and with him banking that ball off the backboard, you know why. Oh, that was a Jared Harper 3 right there. Good golly, Miss Molly. Up to 64. We'll give Auburn an 82. Sorry, I've been kind of watching the play a little bit. It's been kind of interesting the last minute or two. Auburn's just trying to do some individual stuff here. Like, just beating people individually. Turtle, that was my boy Turtle right there. Did not get the stick back. I kind of wondered if Turtle, I don't know anything about him personally because he just transferred in, but how he would handle, just not being, he really hasn't done a lot this year, and I think he's a better player than this. Oh, boy, another really lazy turnover. Yuck, man. BP's going to be so pissed about this. Oh, God. This is getting really, really ragged. Really, really ragged. Let's see. Spicy Pieces, Locked On Missouri. I don't know if those guys know anything. Said this squad tonight is their best. This is their peak. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know much about Missouri basketball, honestly, but if this is their best, they're not very good. I think they're going to end up being middle of the league. Anor Boateng. I didn't know he played for Missouri. Auburn recruited him 2 years ago. We got Blake in the game. I don't know if Presley's in the game. Did you see Presley go in? Yeah, Presley's in there too. And it is CJ as well. So this is basically your scout team minus, your best scout team minus Turtle. I'm sorry, minus Chaney. JP was running scout team the other day when I watched, but Stoltze, who was there yesterday, said he wasn't. So, but Turtle was playing scout team. Blake, I thought he had a really good practice. Oh, I can't talk about practice. Never mind. That was a nice finish by number 4. Hey, man, I can also appreciate good finishes by the other team, too. Missouri definitely going to play better, and they're going to feel like they can take something from that, Hey, man, you guys got absolutely run the middle 20 minutes of the game, but you showed some resilience. You played better in the last 8 minutes, and that's what Dennis Gates, not Kevin Gates, but Dennis Gates will say. He'll say they had 2 phones. Shoot it, Presley. Give him one, guys. Drop. Presley got himself a bucket right there. You love to see it. Guy plays his ass off in practice. He and Blake both do. BP says, no. Don't you score. All right, so 84-68 is way it ends. The Auburn Tigers' first SEC tilt of the season turns out to be a very a satisfying one. I don't think it was Auburn playing at its absolute best by any stretch, but they did kind of some of the things that they usually do. They have those segments, those 4, 5, 6 minute segments where they just slap the shit out of people, and they have a scoring deficit or a scoring surplus of 8 or 10 points during that segment, and they just do a couple of those a game, and they take a close game and they just zip. They're up 8, zip. They're up 16, and it's just kind of. That's the way it goes. That's the way they do it. Beppo says, let's get those hot and fresh game win stats. Hell yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. Take a look at the final numbers and break this one down as we check out Auburn's win over the hated Missouri Tigers. Well, I already see some numbers I like down here. Although very unusual situation here. It doesn't really matter. This is a stat that doesn't matter. Well, I mean, not really. But Auburn's bench got outscored bigly tonight, and that doesn't happen very often. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm not trying to say that it does, but Auburn's bench got outscored 47-29 tonight. Auburn usually has they run the table on bench scoring. Terrence, my guy, what's up, G? Glad to see you here, man. One of our favorite football commenters. Says, hey, JGT, I want Pegues to play more in the future. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I don't think we need to see less Tahad. I think Tahad's amazing, and I think he's better than JP. I see what you're saying. I mean, you'd like to see maybe a couple shifts per game out of him, but at this point, man, I think they've got this stuff straightened out, They've got the rotation set, and JP ain't in it. All right, let's look at some of these numbers. Assisted turnovers, 18-16 for Auburn. That is not good. 16 turnovers in that game was bad. This is for the second straight game, they got really lax in the last 5 minutes. I bet you 5 of those turnovers were in the last 5 minutes of the game. Just some lazy passes, trying to cherry-picked them, as Coach Smith would say on the break. So 18 assists and 16 turnovers, I don't like that at all. 18 assists on 28 buckets is solid. Not too bad. Not good for Auburn, but good enough. Of course, the best number I like is Auburn 84, Missouri 68. That's the number that matters. Rebounding, Auburn was -2, which is okay considering how they were down even more before. I thought Auburn would walk away with a 5 to 10 rebound advantage in this game, and that's not how it went down. BP is going to be pissed about 13 offensive rebounds for Missouri. He's going to think that's a function of not doing enough boxing out and keeping your eyes open on the defensive end. 21 of 55 for Missouri shooting for 38%. That's satisfying, no problem there. 7 of 23 from 3, which is a little bit better than I would have expected from a team like this, but they hit a few there late. It's 19 of 26 from the line. It's amazing. Auburn was almost even with them at the line, which is great. That means that Auburn did a fine job defensively to not let them get away and get 35 attempts at the free throw line, which is more common for them. And Auburn, on the other hand, 18 of 24 on the line. 24 free throw attempts for Auburn is good. That's a lot. They did drive the ball a lot tonight, and they got it done. Janai, 5 of 8 from the free throw line, not so good. Chad was 5 of 5, as you would expect. Denver, 2 of 2. So Chad and Denver were your drivers tonight for the most part. Nobody with double-digit rebounds, which is kind of interesting. Janai ends up with 24 points and 7 rebs. 2 assists and 2 turnovers, not so good. Denver with 7 assists led the team. I would rather him have 15 assists and 0 turnovers, but whatever, that's fine. Tahad, as mentioned earlier by D. Lucky, not a great game. 10 points on 3 of 8 shooting, no problem there, but no rebounds despite playing 19 minutes. And 2 assists and 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers is too much. Too much. Oh, Terrence follows up his point about Pegues because he says Pegues getting more playing time equals more garbage time for Auburn, LOL. Okay, I got it. I see what you're doing now. Thank you, Ravin, also for helping me see that. That's good. Cassidy P says, congrats to Bruce for tying Joel Eves. What an accomplishment. Approximately 10 and a half years into this beautiful marriage. It's amazing. So BP is now tied with Joel Eves for most wins by an Auburn coach at Auburn, which is pretty amazing considering BP, like Cassidy P notes, hasn't been here that long. And I don't know how much longer he's going to be the coach either, but he's definitely going to get ahead of Joel Eves. There's no doubt about that. So SEC opener for the Auburn Tigers results in a W, which is what you like to see. Points in the paint, Auburn +6. Points off turnovers, Auburn's +7. Second chance opportunities were dead even. Fast break, Missouri had a slight edge, which surprises me. Auburn's usually really good in that area. Bench points, so I mentioned that earlier. Missouri +22. Nope. +18. Kind of odd. Was it just an off night for the bench, I guess? Let's take a look at the bench production tonight. Tahad had 10, Jakai 4, Semo 0, Turtle didn't play much. Chaney 13 off the bench. I don't know. It's kind of normal. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, Tahad gives you double digits. Chaney gives you double digits. And I don't know. You don't necessarily expect Jakai to give you double digits. The other guys don't play a ton, so I don't know. Doesn't really matter, I guess. Warwick hurt him pretty good tonight, though. But not necessarily from the three-point range. 5 of 8 from the floor, 7 of 8 from the floor, doing what he does. For the line, excuse me. He's a driver. He's a driver, and he gets the ball into the bucket, and he gets fouled. Mark Mitchell, coming into the game, was their big free throw guy. He had like 89 attempts coming into this game because he gets to the line. But he only had 2 tonight. So Auburn did a nice job on him. He's their leading scorer and just general all-around stud, and he didn't really do nothing tonight. Not much of anything at all. Chaney's probably the most satisfying player of the night for me. 13.7 boards. He's +10, ±, and played 31 minutes. So for him, that's a really nice night. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. You'd like to see 0 turnovers, but whatever. Had a block, 2 steals. It's easy to say, okay, Janai had the best night. He had 24 points. He did his thing, 9 of 13 shooting, very good. But it's key to have Chaney continuing to be that other post presence, on the scoring end. Let's see. Spicy P wants to know, does Bruce not have 10 years left like Coach K and Roy Williams? I do not think that. I don't think that. I don't think BP's going to be here that much longer. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to get stuff started or anything. It's not like he told me, hey, JG, I'm going to quit. I mean, it's nothing like that. I don't know. He just didn't seem to me to be like a guy who's going to die coaching, you know? Not that, I mean, Krzyzewski's still alive, Roy Williams is still alive, but you know what I mean. I think sometimes maybe he looks at people like, and he's never told me this, so I'm just extrapolating, but I think he looks at people like that coach forever, like Izzo's kind of doing now. I don't know if he's a big fan of that. We'll see, Frank. I mean, I think if the number you gave me was plus or minus 5, I would say under that. But I'm not saying tomorrow or anything like that. Let's see. Terrence says, I'm loving the fact that we're critically tearing apart a 16-point blowout against a team who in the preseason was number one in the country. Yeah, I'm not really tearing them apart at all. I mean, Auburn played a good game. I mean, they won by double digits at home against a team that came in at 11-2 and had beaten Kansas. So, yeah. I mean, when you're covering a team this good, Terrence, to be fair, I know you're not being like rough or anything on me or anything like that, but you're covering a team like this, it's so good and does so many things well. Like you kind of have to you have to look at them with a critical eye, because if you just want to sit around and talk about the things they do well, they do shit well all the time. You know, you got to focus it with a critical eye. And I think it's the only way you can really tell when they're doing better or doing worse, because if you're looking at, hey, they had 6 dunks in transition, like they do that every night. Janai was dominating these turds in the post. Well, he does that every night. You know, the other things, I want to see better passing in the full court. I want to see Tahad be a little more consistent with his looks. I thought he's usually risk averse, but tonight he wasn't, and he took some bad risks. Yeah. Terrence thinks Pearl is too animated courtside to see him doing it for another 10 years. I do too. I think he really puts his entire heart and soul into every game. And I think people like that, they just burn out a little faster. Not that he's burned out quickly or anything. He's certainly been doing this a long time. But you know what I mean? I don't think you can go to 80 doing shit like that. If you're going to be like Roy Williams and sit on the sideline, not that he wasn't an intense guy, but you're hard-pressed to find guys that are more animated than BP. And Nate Oates is pretty animated, to be fair. But a lot of times these coaches get to be like kind of like Cliff was or like Krzyzewski was, where you're kind of sitting on the sideline and you're letting Shire do a lot of the work, letting Weave do a lot of the work or whatever. BP don't do that. He's head ass kicker, you know, and he loves it that way. Small Victory says, and you see Steven stepping up more on the sidelines. He has definitely taken that assistant coach job that he's got, and he's run with it. He does a lot of scouting. He's much more vocal in practice. He's a real part of it, you know. If you're expecting Bruce Pearl Jr., you don't know Steven, because that's not the way Steven is. Steven is a different personality, more brooding and more calculating than BP. Not to say BP isn't calculating, but you know what I mean. Steven's a little quieter. And BP is like P.T. Barnum. I don't know anybody like BP. You know, he's just bigger than life. And Steven's not like that. Most people aren't, you know. Terrence says, I get it, JGT. I'm thankful that we have to work to find flaws with this team. You're absolutely right. I mean, we're out here giving Tahad trouble, and he finished with 10 points in 19 minutes of play. I mean, shit, a lot of people would love to have that from their freshman point guard, you know. Ravin says Chaney had good energy tonight. Absolutely, he absolutely brought it tonight. 5 of 7 shooting, 13 points, 7 boards, and a plus 10 off the bench in 31 minutes. I definitely would take that. And Chaney's been really kind of a bright spot. I thought coming into the season he was going to be like this, because he worked so hard in the offseason. I mean, he's really a tone setter the way that Mustafa was back in the day, you know. He's the guy you look to. He's a hard worker. He has a sunny disposition. He's somebody that everybody on the team has a good opinion of. And he's a good indirect leader. He's just a good guy to have around. He's like an air freshener, but a good one. Not a Glade air freshener, but a nice one. Just everything around him's better when he's around. He's good like that. Kaduman agrees with me that Steven and BP are pretty different dudes. They are very different dudes. They both love the game. They love ball. And Steven has kind of exceeded my expectations, honestly, as far as how valuable he's been as an assistant coach. To be fair, he's a major scouter. And when he's got the scout for a particular week, you fucking know it when you're in practice. He lets you know. The lead guy for me in practice this week would have been Burgo. I guess Burgo had this scout. I'm guessing that's the case because he was very vocal about things, and Coach Corey was doing some of that too. So they usually go 2 by 2 on the scouts. So like Burgo will work with somebody, Chad will work with somebody, and maybe Corey works with somebody. You know what I mean? They do 2 guys. Steven too works with somebody. So there you go. The Auburn Tigers. Let's see. Spicy Pieces, Bama en route to wax Oklahoma. Oklahoma's fraudulent despite being undefeated. It's the time of the year when these undefeated teams or these teams with one loss that you think are kind of fraudulent, they get their ass beat. This is when you get humbled. Kanuman with me on the Stephen Pearl thing. He says he's wildly exceeded my expectations. He's really come along. He has. He's been good. War Eagle 0008 says, thanks again, JGT. Y'all smash the like button. War Damn Eagle all. Appreciate your super chat. And you also being here, part of the chat from wire to wire. Appreciate that, bro. Chip says he's hungry. He's going to go cook some food. That's going to be a wrap on Chip. We love him. And he's an important part of the community. Appreciate you, G. Cassidy P says, I'm eager to see us defend home court all year. The road is tough as any in conference play. Say nothing for this year's crop, but defending home court is huge. Frank G says, is the scout usually responsible for both offense and defense? Absolutely. They work on those in practice at the same time. Well, not the same minute, you know what I mean? But when they install, they put in, maybe 5 or 6 sets. Here's the way I would explain it. I don't know the exact numbers because it's just not shit that I would tell you even if I knew it. But let's say they have 20 sets total. And this is stuff that they talk about in like August, September, October. They're kind of working on certain sets. I'm just making up numbers here, but like let's say they did like 2, or they did a fist, or they did a head tap. You know what I mean? Like that's a set. They've got like 20, and then each game they've got maybe 4 or 5 that they push, they accentuate because they work particularly well against this team. This is offense and defense. And so they'll just put them in. They'll just kind of work those 5. And then BP has a drill where he'll have, I better not get into that. I'll get myself in trouble. It literally says in our media rules, like, do not message board or discuss this shit. So I don't want to get in trouble. Cassidy B says, thanks, trainers, and huge thanks to me. Be where your feet are, y'all. It's great advice. It was the first time I ever heard that was from Carnell Williams. Mobile alum says, Ward, I'm Eagle JG. Realistically, how far do we go in the tournament? I would say that the Auburn Tigers are Final Four bust. I mean, they're really good. They've got a lot of depth. The guys on the bench are, in many cases, just as good as the starters. I mean, Chaney's become a real force. Jakai is, today wasn't a great game for him, but he's a force, particularly in transition. Tahad's a stud. I mean, you got dudes, man. They've got a lot of depth. Terrence says he's going to go personally scout the Bama team and watch Mark Sears flop around trying to draw fouls, European football style. We made a reference to that earlier. I refuse to watch soccer because everybody flops, but I'm fine with basketball. They flop in basketball all the time, too. Watch Chris Paul. Master flopper. All right, I'm going to probably wrap it up there, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me almost 3 hours now on this one. Paul Ray, my man, shows up. I was just about to ask you. I hadn't heard from you in a minute. I don't know if you're still playing or not. Because I'm still playing, so hit me up, bro, if you're around when you're playing. Look for me, all right? I love Paul Ray. He's a stud. I'm not going to say who he is on the bunker because I would be outing him, but he's a badass. Absolute legend. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. This Bomburgers was pretty good tonight, guys. That's about all I can say for it. 108 proof. Got it at the allocation. This is a very coveted bottle of bourbon normally. I think on secondary, this would probably cost $200 or $300. I don't know. We paid, I think, $100 for it. At the allocation, I would not buy this again. I might buy it at $100, but I wouldn't buy it anything more than that. Solid. It's pretty good. Spicy Pete says he's headed to Scotland tomorrow. St. Andrews course record incoming. Man, I wish you could hang out with my guy, the Welshman, period. a.k.a. Neil Jones. He lives in Scotland outside of Glasgow. But he's from Wales. But anyway. All right, so the Auburn Tigers are now 13-1. They will not go to number 1 in the AP poll because Tennessee held serve and slaughtered Arkansas today. D-Lucky notes the first strain of 2025 is completed. I say this right here.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Speaking only about myself, though, not the quality in the chat, because you guys are always legends, and you guys are what make this show great. In my opinion, I think it's great. I have a great time. Yeah, I think y'all do, too. I've met a whole bunch of you guys in person, or in, like, Paul's case, virtually, but you guys are like family to me, and I appreciate y'all being here and hanging out. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Appreciate it. We will go again. Let's see. I gotta look this up. I've been working on one game at a time. That's what BP says we got to do, and by God, I follow along. I got logged out of KenPom. They're playing Texas on Tuesday at Texas. That is going to be an 8 o'clock tip. Oh, my God. In the Central Time Zone, it's going to be on ESPN. So 8 o'clock on Tuesday is what we're looking at. And Texas is playing tonight at A&M, I believe. So all eyes will be on Texas. Coming into this game, they are KenPom number 35. They are 11-2 with quality wins over nobody. Well, Syracuse maybe, NC State, and the two good games they played, two good teams they played, Ohio State they lost, and UConn they lost. So could be a paper tiger situation there. Anyway, I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Even though it's going to be late, but we'll still do it because it's what we're doing with a team this good. Until I see you guys then, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars. Appreciate y'all, love y'all, make great decisions, and I'll see you then. Peace.